desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim, to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
As manufacturing problem solvers who navigate design complexity and compressed timing, the Three-Dimensional Services Group offers 7 facilities and 500,000 square feet of dedicated, on-demand manufacturing floor space. Metal or plastic, we support a wide range of industries, from some of the world's best-known companies to startups, with an unparalleled investment in leading-edge manufacturing technology and automation to keep all phases of a project in-house.
But here comes the battle for the checker flag. I believe it is Ryan Nip getting the win.
How good is this? Look at this view from Losowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
Speed turn, 140-mile-an-hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the VBox HD2 system.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.
Taking on the challenge, moving ahead. It's about going further, faster. At Customers Bank, we know that great things happen when you combine the best of technology with a deeply human touch. So we offer a wide range of personal, small business, and commercial banking solutions with outstanding personal service, giving you the edge you need to take on tomorrow.
Hello and a warm welcome to the World Wide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois. It's the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, and it's a beautiful day here in Madison, Illinois. With me is Scott Goodyear, and I'll tell you what, Scott, got a lot to look at this weekend. Behind us, a full all-class field. That means all the classes we've got in Trans Am in one race. We're racing on a roval, a bit of an oval, a bit of a road course. 3 rounds to go in the championship. It's all on the line.
And when you say roval and oval and road course, the thing comes to me as a driver, compromise. Where's the car going to be good at? And I think a lot of drivers are struggling with that, getting the car through the road course, maybe pushing up the hill over here on the banking. But interesting to me, high speed coming down here, turn 1, 155 miles an hour, and it's the Daytona 24-hour style funnel coming down here into turn 1. Problem area down there just might be today, so I'm going to be watching that. Drivers I'm spoken to are very concerned about it. That's why we're going to go racing.
Traffic is going to be tough. Different classes doing different speeds and a very tight track.
Very tight track, you know, and everything that we have here right now, we're watching the guys running for the championship. It's going to be interesting to see who's patient, you know, is Brent Cruz and the guys running up front going to be that way? And I'm going to turn around and watch a guy like Thomas Merrill, who right now, he's, you know, sitting in close in the championship. Is he going to sit back like a Scott Dixon and watch these young guns go off there and try and do their thing? Is he going to conserve the car? Tires is a big issue here this weekend, I think. Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, but then again, that's why we go racing.
CD Racing have pretty much already kind of wrapped up the championship. They haven't done yet, but the car behind us, the Jimweed 16, is on his way to a third title. But it's the TA2 Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers that really interests me, because we've got 3 contenders, 2 of which went all the way to the title chase last year. Obviously Rafa Matos and Thomas Merrill, but they're chasing the youngster Brent Cruz, and if they don't stop him here, they're going to run out of races.
Well, and that's like I said, I think it's really going to be interesting to see who conserves their tires, because at this particular track, it's very abrasive, it's very grainy, and no one's been here before. It's new for everybody. So patience, being smart, sit back and watch what's going on. You have to have a car to go race those last 20 laps. That's going to be so important here today.
Well, this is the first time we've raced at this particular configuration, but the last time we came here was 38 years ago. So Trans Am does have some history. Let's take a look at it. This is only the 3rd ever Trans Am visit to Illinois. Before this weekend, Trans Am raced at the St. Louis International Raceway in 1985, which is at this current location of the World Technology site of today. The race was won by Wally Dollenbach Jr. in a Mercury Capri. The first visit, however, to Illinois was back in 1968 at the lesser-known Meadowdale International Raceway. The 3.27-mile track was designed to resemble the road race and oval courses of Europe and featured a steep 180-degree oval turn known as the Monza Wall. Trans Am was in fact the circuit's last major event in July 1968. The race was won by another Trans Am icon, Mark Donohue, on his way to the 1968 title. The current Madison, Illinois World Wide Technology Raceway is best known as a NASCAR and IndyCar oval venue since 1997. Trans Am, of course, will race on the infield road course, 10 turns and 1.6 miles, a course that was opened in 2019. Therefore, this weekend, Trans Am will set new lap records as it races on this infield configuration for the first time.
Honey, did you do something to the car? It's so quiet.
Do the new P0 AS Plus 3 tires from Pirelli provide a quieter ride? Yes. The new tires from Pirelli deliver high performance and, as she noticed, an exceptionally quiet and comfortable ride. The new P0 AS Plus 3 tires from Pirelli. Performance for every mile.
I'm Richard Petty. And you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor, give Clean Harbors a call.
We're at a commercial break.
All right, welcome back to World Wide Technology Raceway here in what I'm going to call St. Louis, because St. Louis is actually my hometown where I grew up. So excited to be here. We are technically in Madison, Illinois, but we are in the shadow of the Gateway Arch just right over there. The cool thing about this race is not a single driver in this field has raced on this course or configuration. So The Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series Motul Pole Award goes to Connor Zilish, who is super fast. This sticker right here, he's got this string bean sticker here that I've got to ask about. But how would you describe World Wide Technology Raceway?
This place has been really cool. It's got a lot of character. The road course, obviously, this track isn't known for its road course. So coming here and racing on the road course has been pretty awesome so far. Definitely something to get used to, a lot different than a lot of the tracks we go to. So just looking forward to getting out here for the race and seeing how it plays out. It's going to be probably a little bit tough to pass, but thankfully we're starting in first with a bad, fast Chevy Camaro, and you know, Silverhair Racing has worked really hard to give me fast cars the last few races, and it's really showed. So looking forward to starting out front here and hopefully keeping it out front.
All right, you can't avoid my question, though. What is string bean?
Well, obviously I'm 17 years old, so I'm a skinny kid, and you know, my crew guys, whenever they want to try and sit in my car to move the car, they can't fit in the car, so they call me String Bean because I'm skinny and they can't fit in my seat mold. So I got the nickname, and then they decided to put a sticker on my car to put me to shame. So I guess I got to hit the gym or do something different.
No, I love it. You want to stay light. Connor, congratulations, our Motul Pole Award winner. But we're going to come over here. I've got 3 of our top drivers right here. So let's talk to these guys. So we've got Taylor Gray, Brent Cruz, Austin Green. Get together. We were talking earlier, and we think this is tire degradation is going to be a big factor, but not where you would think. The oval is smooth enough that I could skateboard on it. It's fine. The infield is super rough. Would you agree that tire deg is going to be an issue here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were just kind of talking about it right now, just kind of judging how much we're going to have to save tire throughout. I think it's a 63-lap race, so definitely going to be some tire strategy.
Yeah, exactly what Taylor just said. I mean, the oval's super smooth, but in 3 and 4, these cars really aren't made for that much of a load, right? They're meant for just road course flowy, right? So if you're playing in the front end like that, it's going to tear up some front tires. So I think the name of the game is just to make sure you're saving your right front and just be cautious with it and make sure you don't blow right front is the name of the game.
Austin Green doing well in the points. What's your strategy when the green flag drops?
Honestly, kind of like what they said. Whoever saves the most tires is going to win the race. So I think it's going to be interesting and make for a good show.
Brent Cruz getting late in the season with the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series leading the championship. Are you going in a little bit conservatively, or are we just going to see a normal Brent Cruz race out there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything we're doing right now is working, so don't want to change anything. Just stick to what we've been doing pretty much all year, and then we'll see that where that takes us.
Well, there we go. We heard it from 4 of our top 4 drivers right here at the World Wide Technology Raceway. I saw Chris Dyson walk right by us. We're going to come to your car, though, Chris. Don't worry. So get dressed. So Chris Dyson, another Motul Pole Award. Now, we were talking about this mixed class racing, which is just going to be unbelievable. We did this a couple years ago, and we had to make up for some COVID dates in 2020 and 2021. But Chris Dyson here on the pole, Worldwide Technology Raceway, with some of these TA2 drivers, a track that I was surprised to hear even you've never been to.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be demanding, Ben. This is a fast racetrack on the banking, and then it's really tight and aggressive on the infield. You know, the TA2 guys are going hard. We're going to try to coexist out there. We've done races before, like you said, where we're all together, and it's been fine. So I'm hopeful that's the case today. All I can say is that the guys from CD Racing have done an absolutely phenomenal job with the 16 Jimweed Mustang today. Gave me a rocket ship all weekend, and we've had trouble-free runs. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to giving everybody here a good show, and want to say hi to the family at home, too.
Nice. Chris Dyson, congratulations on the pole. We're going to talk to A.J. Hendrickson real quick. Come on, A.J. Just up the street, all the way from Chicago. So get by your car. A.J. Hendrickson, ECC Motorsports. And we've seen Boris Said in this car, but so excited that you're here. And, you know, I wouldn't call this your home track, but at least it's in the state that you live.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I ran an ARCA race here in 2001 is the last time I've seen this place. So pretty cool to be doing the road course here for sure. Yeah, I can call it my home track. I live in the same state, so yeah, very cool. Just really happy to be here. Happy to be pretty competitive. You know, we got former champion Dreesy and, of course, 2-time champion Dyson. So it's really happy that we're competitive with them.
Nice. And a champion sandwich right there. Good luck, AJ. So we're going to come up here, talk to Bill Knox. Road Race Ministries to deliver the invocation. Bill, welcome to my hometown of St. Louis. Take it away, sir.
If you'll join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be at this track and to do what we love. Father, we ask for your protection to be upon the drivers, the crews, the officials, the spectators. Father, we ask that you keep them all safe. Father, we ask that you watch over our first responders, our police, and our military, for without them, it would not be possible for us to live in this nation of freedom. In your Son's most precious and glorious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bill. And ladies and gentlemen, here we are at World Wide Technology Raceway. But gentlemen, I'm going to send it back up to you in the booth.
And right now coming up is our national
Actually,
anthem.
ladies and gentlemen, we are going to hear the national anthem. You got to talk like this. I've got program really loud, so I can't hear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens, you know.
As you can see, the wonderful Gateway Arch in the distance and St. Louis, right on the cusp, if you like, between Illinois and Missouri, and of course where the Mississippi is as well. And looking forward to what should be a fantastic race here. And as we mentioned earlier, it's going to be on that roval, which makes it very interesting indeed, because you've got the combination of an oval and you've got the road course, which is, as we've heard already, very, very tough indeed, and not a lot of grip out there. It's a beautiful day, though. We had some rain overnight on Friday, but I'm glad and thankful that we have an absolutely resplendent day today. It's a great facility, this, and obviously more famous for its oval racing in terms of NASCAR. And in fact, we've got several, as you heard from A.J. Hendrickson there, several drivers who have taken part in the oval racing here, whether they be in ARCA or perhaps Truck Series. We've got a few young drivers who've done that. And I'm sure Chris Dyson has been here too over his long and distinguished year. CD Racing celebrating 40th year. And Dyson is on his way to his third title. We're going to be on board with the likes of Adrian Lostowski in the Hawk Performance. Spoke to him. He was getting dialed in. Very happy with his Hawk Performance brakes. No question about it. Here at the World Wide Technology Raceway. And we welcome our viewers on MAV TV live here across the USA. Welcome to St. Louis and welcome to Madison, Illinois, and this wonderful facility, the World Wide Technology Raceway. I'm Jonathan Green, and alongside me, Scott Goodyear, as ever. And Scott, we've been talking a little bit about this circuit, but we went around it last night. It's not easy, is it? For two or three reasons. One, it's tight, and then you've got the different surfaces, which is hard to set up for.
Being tight, and there's certainly the opportunity right now for maybe some fender-to-fender rubbing going on. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys decide how they're going to get past people because of this tight track like you talked about, Jonathan. So some passing places here, yes, absolutely. Turn 1, turn 2 reminds us of Daytona or Charlotte or other places that we come off of the oval onto the road course. And a lot of people say, I think it's there, but
racing drivers being racing drivers are going to find a way to pass people going into turn one, I believe, and that's what I'm going to be watching for around this racetrack today.
And it's always exciting to have all classes out there. When we say that, what we mean is TA, which usually runs on its own, but we've got a smaller field. So we put them in with TA2, our second, if you like, our second most powerful series, because obviously TA is unlimited, 850 brake horsepower plus. TA is limited to 550 brake horsepower. And then, as is the history here since 1966, we have our production classes. That's what it started out as, a sedan series. So we have XGT, we have SGT, and we have the GT classes. Not that many involved, so I don't think it's going to be a traffic problem, but you've got to pick your time right to go on.
And I had that same conversation with Chris Dyson, who is a veteran of Daytona 24-hour and other endurance races where there's multi-class racing, and that's exactly what you're explaining right there. So exactly. So high horsepower, you talked about the horsepower, so different speeds, and not only you're just looking forward, now you're starting to look in your mirror a little bit to see who might be coming up behind you. And I've had the fortune of running both a slower and a high-speed cars at Daytona. Here's the racetrack that we see here. We see the oval that goes around there, but then we also have the road course, the portion that we're running in today. Headed down to turn one, we talked about the 155 miles an hour going to be going in through the tight section. And it's very interesting just to sort of see what we have on this race course itself. And in very, very tight racetrack. As we mentioned, this is the corner that everybody's thinking about coming up to, and it's a very wide entry turn, people diving on the inside. This is the tight turn leading up onto the banking, and people are saying the car's not working in the banking, and the reason being is a setup for the road course. Tire and tire management is going to be so important here come this week.
So there's a quick look at it, and it really is that combination that we're talking about. It. We went round in an SRT, thanks to Petty Motorsports last night. Thank you to them and Richard Petty and his team. But it gave me an insight, and similar to how we went round Charlotte, obviously, there's no question that it's an interesting circuit. Let's head down once again to Ben Sissel.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I am here with Tony Pirelli, the owner of the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, and Dave Stewart with the Stewart Family Foundation. So, Tony, how did you bring Dave Stewart into this mix?
Well, I had the pleasure of having dinner with him last night, and he's doing such great work in the sport to bring diversity to the forefront and change the face of motorsports as we know it today. And I'm pretty excited about what the future holds. And I just want to say, being here at World Wide Technology Raceway, this staff, Curtis and Chris and the whole team, they couldn't have been more accommodating. I'm thrilled to have Trans Am race in the heart of this nation and next to the Gateway to the West.
So happy to be here at World Wide Technology Raceway in my hometown of St. Louis, in your hometown, Dave Stewart. So I'm going to give you the mic to deliver us the most famous words in motorsports here in your hometown. Dave, take it away.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So as the roar goes up and last-minute adjustments are made, we're looking at Chris Dyson in the Jim Weed number 16 Ford Mustang. He will start for TA from the front, and he'll have AJ Hendrickson. Of course, Boris said driving that car last time out, so we know it's a good car. AJ with plenty of experience, and as he mentioned, he has raced here in ARCA in the past. And Tommy Dreesy, the only man really who can stop Dyson. Here's the grid then. Dyson in pole, AJ Hendrickson alongside him, then Dreesy and Connor Zilic, the first of the TA2s. Then Austin Green and Taylor Gray coming in for Nitro Motorsports. Jay Buford qualifies well. He's alongside our championship leader, Brent Cruz, and then it's Nathan Hearn, the Australian, and Rafa Matos on row 5. Thomas Annunziata back. Thomas Merrill on row 6, struggling a little bit. Jace Denmark coming in, another youngster trying out from single-seaters. Thad Moffitt, now a regular, but still a rookie. Dean Thompson in his second run came in at Nashville. Darren Mock, Adrian Lostowski, Boris Said Jr. has had a good run so far with the three-dimensional services teams. Barry Bowes from Texas and Josh Sargé in the Liquid Moly Q3 number 77. Travis Cope, son of Mike Cope, coming in for Mike Cope Racing. Chris Durbin alongside him. He had a misfire, missed a lot of the practice. Tom Sheehan, Grant Palmer Talking of diversity, he's in there for BC Race Cars. Great to have him. And he's a local from St. Charles. Michelle Abate, Milton Grant, Richard Forsyth, another newcomer coming in this weekend on row 14, Dylan McAvern. Trouble for Dylan McAvern. He had a power steering issue. We'll be on board with Rafa Matos in the three-dimensional services group Ford Mustang, and an important race, in my opinion, for Rafa Matos. It's been an up-and-down season for the former two-time champion and almost three-time champion. Remember, it went to a countback at the end of last season, and at Koto it may well do the same again. Barry Bowes will be on board with the ASIO data on board, and we'll get to see what Barry goes through his paces with and through the infield to see how he deals with the faster and slower traffic throughout. Nathan Hearn has been somewhat of a sensation, the two-time Australian Trans Am champion. A lot of interest in what he's doing in that Ford Mustang, and he certainly has been putting in some results of late. There you see the TA Championship, Dyson on 8:02, so it's almost a foregone conclusion. But look at this battle between Dreesy and Pentarik. Dreesy with a big opportunity today with Pentarik, Ruman and Marks both out, as well as Brabham, who in fact is actually here. He's playing spotter for Chris Dyson. Not a bad guy to have as a spotter. And just a shout out for Brabham. He was fourth in Indy Lights, or Indy Next as it's now called, just a couple of weeks ago. There's your first view of the turn 7, turn 8 combination, which takes us onto the oval. And I would say, Scott, this corner here, crucial.
Very crucial for many things. You want last corner getting onto the longest straight. You always want to make sure you get the power down, get some speed going through there. But I've spoken to some drivers. They got great lap times in the infield portion itself, and that would probably place them, say, third or fifth, and somewhere in that neighborhood. Thomas Anciano, who I spoke to, he said the same sort of thing. But then I get onto the oval, I'm turning around, I'm pushing, and he says then I end up not having a great lap time. So he said I'm really working on struggling, trying to get that car working in the oval. So important turn, as you mentioned, Johnny, but it's going to take a whole lap to put everything together here.
Turn 1 is important. You mentioned it's a bit like Daytona. There's a funnel-like feel to it. We were in the car in the SRT. We're seeing it now. It's not easy to approach.
And when you're coming down there, there's one certain line that you can go through there. If you got somebody trying to pass you, then you got to sort of give and take a little bit. Race drivers are known not to do that, as we all know. So I'm going to be watching that very carefully, and we'll probably end up having some fender rubbing going on through there, but you got to make sure you leave room for the other guy to get through there and then go on and continue racing from turn 1 to turn 2 out. I tell that to our F4 and FR drivers all the time.
Young guns obviously going very well for Brent Cruz. Connor Zilic behind him. It's doubtful that he'll catch him, but the really one that's interesting is the rookies, because that is a much closer fight, so we'll be keeping an eye on Austin Green in that one. Here's a very important turn. It's wide enough to get two cars into. There's the car we went round in for Petty Motorsports yesterday, but we noticed, didn't we, that you can get two car lengths or two cars side by side through there.
And really a multiple line going into 6, all the way through 6, because it is so wide. And then you finally see the curbing there on the right-hand side. So a late entrance to make a perfect apex to come out of that turn, that's probably what you want, but I can guarantee you people are going to be filling the mirrors and filling on the right-hand side and going in there and contesting people for that curbing. And then it's going to be a drag race out all the way down to the next turn.
Scott, the biggest thing I noticed last night when you drove me round was not so much the oval, it was these red and white curbs and how high they were on every corner. Not actually this one, but it doesn't really matter on this one because you're never really going to come to those. But the ones on the infield are really high. If you hit those, you could break a suspension.
Yeah, the ones we're looking at right there obviously are on the oval, but the ones in the infield certainly are a lot higher. So that's what the drivers are going to have to watch out for throughout the whole day.
As you can see, they are lining up 2 by 2. All classes involved. TA at the front, followed by TA2, and then our other production classes. The green flag waves. Away goes Dyson. Dreesy following him right behind. Adrian Hendrickson may have lost a place already to Dreesy as Zilic leads TA2. Brent Cruz right there as they all dive into turn 1 for the first time as we go on board with the QP racing of Nathan Hearn, the Australian. Nice clean start. Dreesy, the man who made up the position though, and into second place goes Thomas Dreesy.
As you ride along here, just listen to the throttle anytime that we have an opportunity here today and see how these guys have to work the throttle. The infield here is known by all the drivers telling us there's not a whole lot of grip, and that's the issue that you have here, just trying to make sure that you can get up behind somebody and put the power down to be able to pass them.
AJ Hendrickson now down to third. He's got Zilich behind him, and Zilich has got some work to do because he's got a whole furlong of TA2 onto the oval for the first time. Tell me what you see here.
Well, this is where the cars can be moving around. Watch the car in front. We can see exactly what's going on here. This is where you're waiting for the tire pressures and the tire temperatures to come up and for the car to settle down. Most important at the beginning of the race, don't start to overdrive the cars. Don't start to take the tires off the car because you'll pay for it come late in the race.
Yeah, it was interesting. We watched last night, and there's no question. Oh,
there's a mistake.
Already Austin Green trying to make a move on Brent Cruz, our championship leader, who went very wide at 2 there. And I think that is a place where mistakes could happen.
And that's also probably a function. The car's not where you want it to be right now, but you're pushing already. And then that's when the car steps out from underneath you.
So, Austin Green, Nathan Hearn, Brent Cruz, Connor Zilich, all involved in this. On the inside, Austin Green, almost making it through there. As we said, a different line you can take through there, and a possible overtake into here, but you've got to be on the inside and almost making a block pass. Austin Green not able to do that, but now starts to head out onto the oval, and he's side by side with Nathan Hearn. This will be interesting.
And everybody says the oval almost is really one line, one lane through there where you're going to find grip. So actually making it work on the outside, will he be able to carry the speed through? And you got to make sure, Nathan, you leave room on the outside for the driver coming through. Nicely done.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting for a moment there because we didn't expect 2x2 coming through there. But Brent Cruz holding them all off. Austin Green doing a good job at the start of this race. Zilich, Gray up there in 5th position. Abate, Grant 25th and 26th and 27th, I should say. We go back on board with Nathan Hearn.
The curves you spoke about, you can see how tall they are there going through those S's. That's where you want to really keep off them. The guys are doing a good job doing that. The front of these cars are different than road cars. We got up on them yesterday, as you're going to call, but you're not going to do that in these cars here. You'll take off the front valves for sure.
Good to see Annunziata up there as well. Jade Buford currently in 9th position. Taylor Gray, the young Toyota development driver, down in 10th at the moment. Darren Mock 11th. Boris Said Jr. Look at this, side by side. Austin Green again looking to make hay as they head onto the oval section again. Dyson pulling away. Dreesy's trying to stay with him, as is AJ Hendrickson in 3rd. Here comes Connor Zilich. He's got a good lead at the moment in TA2. And look at this. Everybody's wheel to wheel. Annunziata under pressure from Rafa Matos and Thomas Merrill. Great overtake. And Annunziata could lose 3 places in that one corner. We're on board with Rafa. He's gone through.
And what we just saw there, you could have taken that and said that was a Daytona 24-hour track, because that's exactly what goes on there. Yep. People are fighting, and if somebody else comes along and takes advantage of it.
And the problem is, if you do get up the inside, you really can't get back in. You can't knock the guy out. And so you've got to stay out. You get it hung out to dry, effectively. You've got to stay where you are. Looking at the Bennett Bridge Hall 26 of Cope Racing's Thomas Merrill. Important race for he and Matos as we go back on board with the Brazilian, because they really, like I said at the top, got to make hay now. If Brent Cruz runs away with it, or at least finishes ahead of both of them, he's starting to get his way to a title.
And I think you speak to the other guys, they certainly know that. And overall, just speaking with the drivers, they know that they have to go out there and finish this race like you talked about before. So now you're pushing. We see that with Brent Cruz. Everybody's pushing right now. The car's slipping and sliding around. But you got to think about the last 15 laps of this racetrack.
Yeah, Jade Buford also going well.
Now, not a whole lot of shifting on this racetrack. A lot of the infield is done in 1st and 2nd gear. 3rd gear, using 3rd gear a couple of times, and 4th gear just coming out of the last turn and coming down the front stretch. So these guys are really concentrating on just being smooth with the throttle, putting power down. You can put the power down and have the back end start to slide around a little bit, but then you're taking the rear tires off the car. But as we mentioned before, Johnny, everybody we spoke about is tire deg right now. They're just really worried about that. And as they come off the road courses, we're watching them right now coming onto the oval, the car starts to push. That means it's not turning that understeer that they have. And to make it turn, you want to turn the steering wheel to get the car around the racetrack. But I had a long talk with Rafa this morning, and he said, yeah, I think I'm going to end up burning the right front tire off of the car. I've got to be really cognizant of that, because I don't know what I'm going to have at the end of it. He said, my car, out of all the cars in the team right now, seems to be the worst with the understeer just on the oval for whatever reason.
Well, we are 6 laps into this 63-lap race. And it's been a good start to this one, no question about it. And it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Good clean start to everything so far. Dreesy the man who made up a position right at the start to go into second. But right now, it's Chris Dyson in control here in Madison. Onto the main straight he comes then. Chris Dyson in control as he's been all season long. And it's Dyson, Greasy, Hendrickson, Zilich, Gray in 5th position. Then Green, Cruz, Hearn, Booth at 9th, and Matos up to 10th now. Matos keeping an eye on Merrill. Merrill doing likewise in front of him, watching Matos. Both of them will try to side their way through and see if they can get on level terms with the man they're chasing, Brent Cruz. Now, what's happened here? This looks like Tommy. I think it is. Tommy Sheehan. And it is. Oh, my word. Big damage to that car. What's happened there?
Yeah, with as much fender that's missing that, I just wonder if he actually ran over something and then had the tire go, and the tire looks like it's taken out part of the fender there. Maybe we'll get some updates from Ben downstairs.
Yeah, not what you want, though, that's for sure. Now, Milton Grant, Chris Dyson already getting into traffic. Well, you asked the question this morning, how long would it take before he started making his way through the other classes, and he's already passed Milton Grant. Not a surprise, not too many of the production cars out there this weekend. And Milton's a very experienced driver. He's not going to get in there.
Well, and that's the sort of thing that we talked about before. Like, I've been there many times in the lowest class and the highest class. So now you're looking in your mirror, and Chris thought it would be around lap 10, but he's got so much experience at Daytona 24-hour. He talked about this. We had this conversation. He said, just pick and choose. He said, I know if I get behind a slower car in the infield, I can probably get around him by the next turn. If I'm in the banking, he said, I'm just going to have to sit back there and ride along because it's not really 2 lanes wide.
Taylor Gray's been the story for me. He is creating a bit of a mess for the rest of the regulars because he's up there in 5th, and that's great by him. And he's trying it out, Taylor Gray, and already making a name for himself here in Trans Am. Our first time on this configuration. Great to race here at Madison, Illinois.
So we talked about this turn 6.
So we welcome our MAV viewers back to the roval, if you will, here in Madison, Illinois. Beautiful day for racing, and it's Chris Dyson leading the way for CD Racing. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, there's multiple lines in there. I see that all the time. There's so much racetrack on that portion of turn 6, like we always said before. It's going to be interesting to see if they start to get some marbles on there on the outside and it really starts to narrow up that line. These drivers are just figuring out this racetrack, Johnny. Just like you said, they've just got here for the very first time. Really, nobody even came and tested here. This road course is only used about 5 or 6 times a year.
Yeah.
So for everybody here, they're learning. When you leave this racetrack, you're going to go back and make a lot of notes. So they come back next year, then all of a sudden the cars will go quicker, the drivers will know more what to expect, and they'll tune the cars differently for the race next year.
Yeah, I mentioned that some have been to this particular venue, and that one of those is Thad Moffat, raced here in Arca. Started 14th and finished 9th, but of course that's an oval, completely different track, using one corner of it. So can't really count, but he knows the venue at least. And there's a couple of local guys here as well. We mentioned AJ Hendrickson from Chicago. We've got St. Charles's Grant Palmer also coming in to Trans Am for the first time. He's a single-seater guy, along with many others out there, learning their way, just trying Trans Am out, just as a little bit of a change. And who knows, keeping your, if you like, options open, because you never know which way the racing career will go. As we go back on board with Rafa Matos.
You know, race drivers drive any race car as long as it's got 4 wheels. We had that conversation yesterday with Jay Stenbark, who's coming over from the single-seater stuff. He came through F4 at the beginning of his career with us. And, you know, a driver right now that's going from single-seaters over to what I like to call tin tops, because get the roof on top of you.
Yeah, he knew one of the engineers at Three Dimensional Services and has raced, like you say, a lot of single-seaters in his young career. Came through karts, came through SCUSA, but said it like exactly that. You know, want to try everything. I don't know what the future hope will open for him, but, well, you never know.
And you become a better race driver for it, and he's actually now gone on. He's one of the instructors over at the Radford Racing School. It's a school that I use for our kart. And we have our F4 and F3 drivers come over there if they need to get some tune-ups with the Cars to Cars program. We take one of those drivers, and that driver that went through there last year, Patrick Woods-Toff, is leading the F4 championship. So great for JC to be over there because we have a great instructor now there too, along with the other great guys that are there, Danny Bullock and crew.
Well, we're on board with the Cube 3 Racing, Nathan Hearn of Australia, the 22-year-old, just going past the traffic himself as he dives into turn 1. This is becoming an interesting battle because he's chasing Brent Cruz, and you can see now as they turn into turn 1, Brent is trying to use the other cars to get away from Nathan, and Nathan's sticking with it.
And we said earlier on, I keep saying it, that is Daytona 24-hour. Turn 1, you got traffic already, and that's the fun side of it. I mean, people came here and said, oh, multi-class, but I look at it as going, you know what? You're going to learn something about it. You're doing something different than you've done before and just paying attention to one car that's in front of you. You got to look further down the road and see what traffic is there, which is so important. And it gives you just a good understanding about running in traffic, because later in life, they might end up doing that. They might end up at the 24-hour.
Yeah, no question. And a lot of these guys, Dakota Dickerson springs to mind, somebody who started in single-seaters and is now a regular at the likes of Daytona and Sebring. Big sports car driver now back on board. Hawk Performance at Talk. Ironically, it was funny talking to Adrian Lostowski. He said, I know I'm sponsored by Hawk Performance, but he said, I feel so confident going into turn 1. It's really heavy braking. And he said, but I feel so stable there. And he said that if I'm going to have an advantage, that's where it's going to be. And he's about 4 seconds from doing just that, diving into turn 1.
Well, you know, talk about braking. A lot of these guys here are really using their street course brake duct system on these cars here. Look at the lineup of cars that we have just in front of us, because what ends up happening is you're on the brakes so much right now, you don't want to overheat them because you're going to end up getting a long pedal and losing the brakes. So, you know, you're different braking package than you would do on a natural terrain road course, say, than Road America or something of that nature. So this is more to what they say they're running at places like Nashville and at Detroit. So brakes could be an issue later on. But look at the traffic up ahead, Johnny.
It's ridiculous.
Right now. Oh, it's just great. You know, this is where you're looking. You're searching.
Two side by side, two or three of them.
You're just searching for some place to go. You're trying to see who's got the fastest lane, and you're trying to make sure that, you know, now we're diving on the inside. You know, is that the proper line? Look at this. This is great stuff.
That's Thad Moffat you're watching in the 43. Carrying his granddad's number. There's Rafa Matos.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming in.
Now,
we talked to him
Rafa?
before. He said he had so much push in the car, worrying about blistering that right front tire. I'm interested to see. He went to the left. He
is in. You're absolutely right,
He's
Scott.
in pit lane.
Absolutely. Now, this is the worst possible scenario for Rafa, because he's going to... Look how long it takes. We noticed that coming in when we did our lap last night. It takes forever to get into the pit lane, and whatever you're going to do, it's too long.
Well, I came in early. I came in early because you said I want a pit. I didn't think you liked my driving.
I just was... No, I'd had enough. I enjoyed that. Thank you for taking me around. But this is not good for three-dimensional services. You just saw Tommy Sheehan behind him. He's still in, and he's got a damaged car. But what is happening here? What do you see?
So motor-related, obviously, with the front bonnet coming off. So these guys are going to look to see what's going on there. Not a tire issue. If they was having a tire issue, they'd be changing at the same time right now. I would almost do that, quite frankly, because you know that you've got a suspect right front. That might be worth it, but I guess they got something else to take care of here first.
Well, something's a little bit more dramatic than just tyres at the moment. Not that that's not dramatic, but they are definitely looking at something. It looks like it could be a heating problem of some sort. They're trying to pull stuff out, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, and obviously we keep talking about the championship, and this is a tough deal.
So, big news. Rafa Matos in contention for the championship. Third in the championship going into this round. Already in the pits. No pit stops meant to happen in a 100-mile race. We go back on board with the ASIO data. Barry Bowes on board, diving into turn 1. Bowes has had a good season. This is actually one of the best seasons in my 6-7 years of NASCAR watching Barry Bowes. He's always been a midfield runner, but this year particularly, he's had a podium, and he's looked really, really good throughout most of the year. McAvern now up to 15th. He's behind Darren Mock in 14th. Dean Thompson is coming back after his first run, made his debut at Nashville. He's another ARCA man. 12th is Annunziata. Thomas Annunziata also a Miata man, so he's been a busy guy. Jumping out, he missed a couple of rounds while doing some Miata Cup racing.
So going into the banking here, NASCAR 3, first gear coming out of turn into second, into third. They'll get fourth when they get on the front stretch. They end up entering into the NASCAR 3 oval at 115 miles an hour. You should be reaching about 148 to 152-ish, depending on how the car's working right down this area. Hard on the brakes.
Just heard that Sheehan lost his left front at the exit of 8, and that's why the right-hand side of the car was all ripped off. Because obviously, you lose the front left, you're just going to go right.
You know, it's funny. I spoke to him this morning. I asked him how he likes this track, and he goes, the track, he says, is very different, but he says, I love these cars. He says, it reminds me of my driving late models in New England.
There you go.
So I thought that's, you know, raw horsepower and no traction control, no ABS, so I thought that's exactly it.
Yeah, it looks as though they're working on the plugs and injectors on Massa's car. So that's what the latest is. We just heard that from Ben Sussel in the pits. We go back on board with Nathan Hearn. No problem so far for the Australian. Looking quite comfortable out there at the moment. Just keeping an eye on Brent Cruz. That's a perfect guy to watch if you want to get a good result.
Just how calm is he and how smooth is he?
Yeah.
For such a young age. We talked about it, and I know I visited with you doing a few of these shows, but, you know, they were looking at coming and running the F4 series a little bit over the winter time, and then I asked how old he was, and he turned
wasn't old enough, was he?
15. He wasn't old enough. He turned 15 after our first race, and I started looking at his history and what he has done and how competitive he was. I thought, this young man is a star in the making.
Got a quick glimpse of the 25 of Chris Durbin there. He was out of the first session with a misfire, parked it up as we go back to watch our leader, the number 16 Jim Weed Mustang of Chris Dyson. Still Hendrickson second. In fact, that battle between Hendrickson and Dreesy has become good because Dreesy's lost out to Hendrickson. And now we're starting to see Dyson, as we expected, getting into TA2 traffic. Obviously, with the power he's got, he has the advantage and is able to nip through. Will Hendrickson do the same?
Well, and this is the thing that we spoke about when I talked to him this morning. He said, you know, it's almost like Daytona 24-hour. I keep bringing that up. He says, I'm going to have to pick and choose. Yep. And exactly what you just said there. He said, if I can go and do something and put my car in a place where I put a car in between me and the guy behind me, he says, that's what I need to do. If you get held up, and it looks like you've got a bit of a good draft coming on now.
Hendrickson's got it, yeah. It's exactly what's happened just then.
You got to watch that.
And look how much time Dreesy's lost. We're on board with Barry Bowes now going into one, but we're wanting to keep an eye on what happens to Hendrickson. Does he get past? I don't think he has done into turn one, but you now see on board the line, if you will, as he exits two. Gets back on the power. It's only a couple of bollards out there. That would distract me because I'd want to go wider and wider each time. But
well, yeah, and remember last night we went through there, and that's probably the roughest place of the race course there, and you're putting power down, so you got to be cognizant of all the drive line that you got with you, especially on a racetrack that's a little rougher than maybe they're used to at a place like Mid-Ohio or Road America.
On towards turn 7 now, this last turn before you get on the oval. I think the key corner here, we've seen times of, or top speeds of over, oh, there goes Dreesy on Barry Bowes. So you've seen times of over 150 miles an hour in TA2, but it's the key to the start of that down the front straight is here, isn't it?
Right there, and that's a slow turn, you know, around that 50-mile-an-hour mark, and depending how you get through there. But there again, you can carry so much speed in through the oval if you want to, but you're taking the tires off. And I know we're just really into the very first third of this race right now, so I'm going to be watching here to see where the lap times start to go about halfway through or 40 laps into this event.
You know, I asked an interesting question, I thought anyway, to Watkins Glen, but I wasn't expecting the answer that I got from Chris Dyson, which was, you know, on paper, they totally dominated the season, he and Brabham, or whoever's filled that second seat. And he goes, yeah, on paper it looks like we dominated. He said, but trust me, it's been all sorts of drama behind the scenes. Just one of those dramas is he's not in his new chassis right now. He's back to the championship-winning chassis of last year because they're still trying to get the bugs out of the car that he's got new for this year, the Riley.
Yeah, now Dyson really had to tighten up that line. It looks like AJ also got a bit of a problem coming out of there. I thought he was going to get a good run coming in the last turn there, but this is exactly what's going on. You know, these first two guys that we're looking in TA right now, you know, their fastest laps are only about 0.3 apart from each other, so you can see how close they are. Good dive by Chris going down underneath the car into turn 1.
And that's a good example of what we're talking about. Try to put some air between you and your opponent. Wasn't able to pull it off there.
No, because the other driver looked in his mirror, saw who was coming actually, and gave room.
So we're in that interesting phase. 20 laps of 63 gone, and now it's almost tiptoeing through the course and through the traffic to try to keep on line, not make a mistake, let the others ahead of you know you're coming, know that you're in a TA car, the marshals will be doing their job, but there's so much going on out there. You're concentrating on your own race, and you don't need to worry about that. I always think, you mentioned Daytona, it's harder with the faster car because you've got to do the initiation.
And just what Chris did there, I mean, he's diving in the inside, and the guy that's on the outsides really has a right to go to the apex to make that turn in.
Right.
As Chris is, he's diving in there going, I'm hoping he saw me. I'm hoping he saw me. I think you said earlier on, you know, you got Matty Brabham up top being the spotter right now. So right now, he's in the ear telling him, he's back by 1 car length, 2 car lengths, what have you. He's getting all that information because as a spotter, you can stand up in the grandstand here and see the whole race course. So great for them to be able to utilize the sponsor.
And it can't be comfortable for Dyson. Look how close AJ is to him right now as he comes up on Annunziata, still in the pits with Rafa Matos. So whatever that problem was, it ain't going away. And he's lost a lot of laps. And frankly, I would argue that with 2 rounds to go, VIR and COTA after this one, this is pretty much putting paid to Rafa's hopes of a third title.
And I can tell you, you're sitting in the cockpit right now and you're dejected. You're waiting for some good news, and you're hoping that good news comes quickly. You don't lose too many laps. You're hoping to get out of here with some points. But what you just said, I'm sure he's sitting in there right now going, all the work we had this year, everything that we've done, we now no longer have a shot at the championship. Very, very tough.
Real shame.
Whoa.
Oh, AJ Hendrickson's not. He's like a dog with a bone. He is not going to let Dyson get away. And this is a good race. It's a really interesting strategy race by both Dyson and AJ Hendrickson, because Hendrickson's holding on to him for dear life, but Dyson's trying every which way and loose to try and get a little bit of space.
And you saw 2 different lines, just like you do, of the guys going into turn 1. Depending how your car is handling and depending how you think you can drive through there, though, taking the tires off. Now, when we get open like this, it looks like Chris might have just a little bit more speed and starts to make a bit of a gap. Gets caught up in traffic, which is exactly what he said to me he was going to be worried about. And all of a sudden now you've got the guys behind you being able to catch back up.
Into customer services, turn 7. This long left-hander, but crucial to get the exit onto the oval. And here it is. He's got some traffic ahead of him again. He'll put it under the power. 22 laps gone. Dyson looking comfortable at least as he dives into 8. How high would you or could you go? I guess you can go all the way to the top, but it gets dirty. Here comes AJ talking of going high.
And I think the reason being there is that probably Dyson probably lost a little bit of air off the front of his car from the car in front and probably started to push up the racetrack.
Well, he definitely used that oval there to get some good power and some good run, and he's as close as he's been to Dyson as they dive through 1 and 2, and Milton Grant ahead of them. And whoa, that's a good example.
Yep.
That's a great example of how you can get stuck. Now, it won't be long, but it's long enough just to give Dyson a little bit of breathing room.
Well, and this is where Dyson's pushing. He's looking at the next car. He goes, can I get 2 between me, 3 between me? Unless there's a yellow.
Yes, a good point.
So my point where I'm going with that is Dyson conserving his tires right now, and AJ sitting back there being a little bit more aggressive? This is going to be what we're watching for here later in this race.
Well, it's something that you've taught me. The tires, Pirelli produce a tire that will last absolutely 100 laps, 100 miles. But the tire attrition, especially in an abrasive circuit like this, could be higher depending on how hard you're pushing. So all the time you're racing hard, you're also got to think about that last 10 laps.
And you mentioned it earlier in the show, it's a roval. So just so people understand with the tires, on a road course, you set the suspension up with all the caster and camber to go around lefts and rights and what have you. When you go to an oval, like every time we went and drove to Indianapolis, the car setup is completely different. So right now, the right side of those the right side of the car, those right side tires, the right front and the right rear, are being abused in the oval because the tires, the wheels are not set up on the angles that they need to be, basically the camber, to make sure the tire's not going to run hot. On the right front, because these cars are bigger, they're heavier, and it's set up for a road course. That's what everybody's talking about. You're turning the steering wheel a lot to get the car to turn, and it creates scrub on the right front tire, and then, a little bit of touch and go here possibly. Some scrub on that right front tire, which creates heat, which starts to take the tire away from you.
As you can see, Dreesy trying to get away from Grant in the 55 as quickly as possible, and he's done so now. Yeah, that's interesting what you're saying there. We had problems at the Roval at Charlotte, a few guys getting punctures, but I think Chris Dyson being one of them. And so, that was a thought process, but this banking isn't quite as high, and they're also not using it quite as heavy. So we're watching Dreesy trying to get his way through. He's still third overall in TA, and Zilic still leading for Silver Hair Racing in TA2 as we go back on board with Austin Green, who's had a good run so far. On the infield.
We were talking lap times on the TA cars and how close they are, just a few tenths of a second of each other. But I'm looking at Connor Zilic, with just over a minute 0.5, and then the next Austin Green is next to 101.4.
Here's Connor.
Yeah, there we go. It just seems like for certainly Connor's got a good pace going underneath there, is doing a great job of driving, but seems to have some lap time in hand compared to the other cars.
No question about it. The Chevrolet of the number 7, Connor Zilic. It's been an up and down season. That's for sure for him. He has been superb. He's had to start at the back a couple of times, but it's come through. But he's been superb. He starts at the front this time, and he's staying there this time for sure. That's his hope anyway.
Just watch his car. See how much he's pushing it.
Yeah, sorry. Watch his car in terms of movement.
Yeah, just the movement of everything that I can see there, and that's the interesting thing. You can see he's just using the curb a little bit more, pushing the car. Can he do that all the way to the end? Like I keep saying, that's what we're going to be watching for, because he certainly has some lap time in hand. Is everybody else being more conservative and waiting for a yellow? That's the strategy that comes into play with this. But, I mean, just watching him right there, I mean, he was right on pace. It was really neat to see how he put those cars through the S's there.
And from the drone, you really see how big that oval turn 3 at...
yeah, you're in it for a long time.
Yeah, it's
turning for a long
time.
Yes.
Dyson 4 seconds up the road. Sorry, 0.4 up the road from Hendrickson, but some 13 seconds up the road from Dreesy. Dreesy's got to struggle on. He's in traffic and he's trying to get through it. Meanwhile, AJ Hendrickson has stayed with Dyson as we go back on board with Austin Green. He's had a real battle with Hearn throughout this race, and it continues. It's a good one. Hearn currently in, 8th position. Taylor Gray ahead of him. Buford behind. Merrill still in the top 10. But Merrill's now got to be thinking about the overall championship. He's in 10th position at the moment. He's got Cruz in 5th. Cruz is under enough pressure from this man, Austin Green. And Merrill needs to try to make up a couple of places before the end of this race, try to finish in the top 6.
Well, when I spoke to him just before the race here this morning, he just said, I got to keep those guys in sight. I want to make sure that I get to the end and take care of the car. And I was talking to him, and it sort of reminded me when I was doing television for ABC and ESPN. It was almost like talking to Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
He's just got this whole methodical way of thinking about it. He's mapping out the race, and, it'd be interesting to see if he can bring the car forward a little bit more, but he knows he actually needs to be in touch with those guys. You see the difference in speed right there of the cars as Chris Dyson goes on by.
Nice move by Dyson. Coming out of turn 1 and 2. And Dyson making his way through.
See, now this is an area where Dyson's being held up just a little bit by the cars that are in front, and we see AJ actually start to go through. And as a driver right now, as we're riding along with Austin Green, he's driving his racetrack looking forward, but John, he's also looking in the mirror,
of course he is,
which is something he's probably not used to because he's never had those faster cars coming up behind him.
Yeah, this is going to be a tougher race than most for someone like Dyson. You've got the pressure of the championship. Okay, he's got a good, strong lead of over 100 points, but it's races like this that can make and break. Is that Moffitt slowing?
I don't know. It looked like the right front tire was down on that car when we went past it.
Thad Moffitt, of course, in the 43 we were talking about, but he just looked like he was offline, and you thought he might have an approach.
Yeah, it looked like the car was a bit askew when we went past it.
Okay. Well, we'll find out very soon. We go back on to the main straight with Nathan Hearn. I would have thought he's not had much experience on ovals, being from Australia. So this will be quite an eye-opener for him. He's really enjoyed his time in the States, though. I think he's going to stick around. And, of course, with the likes of Shane Van Gisbergen and many others, Marcus Armstrong, you mentioned Scott Dixon, but there's a bunch of Kiwis and Aussies making their way over to the state. Chris Durbin, very close with Nathan Hearn there for a moment. Hearn, though, not letting off. And he's all over Taylor again in the 60.
Talking about those drivers, the young lad that's winning the FR championship that we have, Callum Hedge is from New Zealand, and just a tremendous driver, a lot of talent. See a lot of characteristics in him, just like the Scott Dixon. So we're excited to see where he goes in his career.
So Nathan Hearn in the thick of it yet again. Taylor Gray ahead of him, and then you can see Austin Green in the distance of the all-yellow three-dimensional services. Out of the last corner and onto the main straight they come. Halfway through almost of this 63-lap race, and it's been clean. I don't want to jinx it, but it's been clean so far.
You just did.
I'm always looking for drama.
Actually, I've lost a bet because I thought inside 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, I took the over. I lost a bet on that one. So I really thought that just because it's a new track and everybody being very anxious that we would have ended up having a yellow in the first 10 laps, but I have been mistaken, and it'll be interesting to see if we can get to the end of this thing with Green all the way through. That was 6 that we were going through. We saw the multiple lines.
Okay, it was McAvern in the 17, not Thad Moffitt.
Okay.
And there is your puncture.
Yeah. if it was a puncture or something with suspension, but the right front was down when we went through it. So now it's looking in there in the A-arm and all the suspension area there. So maybe they found something that's caused that issue.
It's a shame. Dylan McAvoy started the weekend so brightly, and he's got bags of experience. He's got Scott Lacazette in his corner, and it should be a perfect combination, but it just hasn't worked out. And this is going to slow him down completely. And with an under 1 minute lap, any time in the pit lane, and there goes the stick of tire onto the car. So Dylan McAvoy with problems. AJ Hendrickson, what a job he's doing staying with Dyson. He's being helped by the fact there's a lot of cars out there that they both have to side through, but this is a good job by AJ Hendrickson. Dyson not dominating this. If anything, this is a bit of a precarious race for him at the moment. Because he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He wants to go fast, but he just can't get away from AJ Hendrickson. Very interesting indeed.
We talked about the higher strategy, so now is Chris, still starting to pick up the pace because he knows he's halfway through the race almost, and now he can start to push the car just a little bit more. As a driver, you're feeling everything that's going on, Johnny. So, if the car starts to slip and slide, you don't get the response from the steering wheel, you can't put the power down, all those signals are coming to you, and there's that situation where we see just AJ could not get through on that first portion of the turn. But all those signals are coming through to you as a driver. So if you now get halfway through the race and you start to feel, I've not used up too much of the car, I've not used up too much of the tires, I can pick up the pace a little bit more. That's what good driver is looking for. It's not just keeping your foot on the gas and driving hard. It's reading the car, understanding what's going on around you, and then playing into what you have available to drive.
Lostowski on board with him, as you can see from the miles per hour. He's at 120. Let's see what he clicks up to as he goes across the strip here. He's up to, 100 just touching 150 as he dives into the big machine Vodka Spike Coolers turn 1. And so we're looking at 150, 151 miles an hour before they dive onto the brakes.
So about 5 miles an hour less than we saw in qualifying. The lap times right now, you're quite a few seconds slower in race pace. Everybody said that to me this morning. They're just going to definitely cannot run race qualifying pace out there if we had to. So that's going to be very difficult if somebody wants to try and pick up the pace. They're not going to get down to the speed. But it's interesting now because this is a point where, as I mentioned, you really understand what the car is doing. There is no pit stops here. You're not changing wing. You're not changing tire pressures or anything like that. This is what you've got now for the remainder of the race, and these guys have to learn to adapt to make the car get around the corners with whatever they have. We got some parts dragging right there. You see that?
So the 88 of Rafa Matos still not moved. He's still not on track, which is a shame. Now, would you say Grant will have to come in for that?
Yeah, well, I would say he's supposed to be. He may not know it, so corner workers right now would be radioing into race control and letting them know that the car's actually got something dragging behind it, and then race control gets on and lets the teams know, and then the team will then let the driver know, and then he may actually even see a black flag to be able to come in and make sure that part, you don't want that part coming onto the racetrack, obviously.
Yeah, interesting. We just heard from Ben Sissel in the pits. Everybody looking very closely at Dylan McAvoy's cars and tyres. So that concern of McAvoy going out with a tyre issue has concerned some of the other teams and engineers that this could happen to their cars. So they're keeping a watchful eye. So nervous times out there as Durban comes up on Milton Grant. 34 gone of the 63.
Yep, still part is still hanging there. So should be able to come in next time around. I thought he would have actually dove into the pit that time. A lot of times, though, as a driver, you know something's going on, and you just sort of hope the part falls off and ends up in the grass, and you're not going to lose a lap.
Just saw a glimpse there of the 87 of Jace Denmark in 11th position. Interesting story, Jace, coming into the series, as you mentioned, from single-seaters and enjoying Trans Am for sure. And he kind of jokingly said, look, I said, what's the difference? He said, look, it's got 4 wheels. It's got more power. It's more forgiving than a single-seater. But, hey, you're racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I've driven both. It's not going to turn. It's not going to brake. Remember, and that's what he said when we spoke to him yesterday when you said to him, what is the biggest thing? And he said the brakes. Yeah. And I can tell you on that because a lot of single-seater guys like me, you get into a tin-top car when they first invite you to come and drive it, and you try to drive it like a single-seater,
I can't do it.
And you very quickly learn that it's not going to work like that.
So we're getting down to an interesting part of the race. We've got quite a mix-up. We've already seen the leader in TA pass the leader in TA2. That, of course, Zilich and Dyson. And so now they're picking their way through the rest of the field as we take a look at the 58. That is the SGT of Richard Forsythe coming in from Crescent in Texas, coming in this weekend.
And with a tail light hanging out of the back of the car, if you saw that when he was going around, so that's swinging. So I'm sure the corner workers will see that. Obviously held on by the wires, and whether that can stay on there or not and not end up on the racetrack, we'll wait and see.
So Hearn trying to chase down Taylor Gray in his first race in the number 60. Currently 7th and 8th this battle. He crosses the line. What's his top speed? Well, we missed it there. He's got past Taylor Gray in fact. So that's good for Nathan Hearn. Somebody else is parked up there as he dives into the Big Machine Vodka turn.
You know, as we go through this section, it's very difficult because you're putting so much load on that right front because you're putting braking all at the same time. You can't overpower that right front. At the same time, you got to get the car turned to be able to get to turn 2 and put the power down. So it's almost like you're standing up on top of a basketball, if you will, sort of moving around. That's what you're doing with a race car and driving it on all the sidewalls of the tires. It becomes a balancing act of what you're doing with that race car. And as I tell our young drivers, is everything you do with the steering wheel, the brake pedal, and the throttle really relates down to the tire contact patch area and the sidewall. So that's what especially happens there in turn 1 and 2.
Austin Green, we're on board now with the three-dimensional services group. It's been a good season for this young 22-year-old. His father, of course, an Xfinity champion in his day. Came down to watch him race at Nashville. Not won a Trans Am race yet, but boy, has he come close. He's had a couple of runner-up spots, and he's been on the podium, and he's been consistent, more importantly. And likewise, the other youngster in the team, Boris Said Jr., just making his way in Trans Am. Both these two guys have done a good job, I think, for Doug Peterson, and you expect Rafa Matos to do that week in, week out, and they've learned a lot from Rafa in their time with the team.
Yeah, and Rafa's got so much experience all the way through sedans and single-seaters. And that's not a good sign.
Now, you've heard of Mike Cope racing. Well, this is the kid, Travis Cope, usually on the sidelines helping Dad for Cope racing, but decided first time since he raced 3 years ago at COTA to get in the car. And we asked him, why now? Yeah. And he said, well, because all these things came to be, came aligned. We had the time. We had a Jim Gallagher car from the West Coast. It was empty. It wasn't being used. And I kind of got encouraged to get in and try it. But obviously, it hasn't turned out the way he wanted it. And the 35-year-old is out of the car.
And remember when we were talking to him, he had just been running a little bit, and he ended up, standing there sweating. I was talking to Rafa this morning after qualifying, and everybody was just sweating completely. And I think we just had a signal, did we not, that looks like Rafa's out now. Johnny, I think we had.
Yeah, Rafa is out, and there's Tommy Sheehan also in the 97 out, and Travis Cope as Rafa Matos. There's Brent Cruz. First time we'd have a look at the Franklin Road sponsored man for Nitro Motorsports, the young 15-year-old on his way to what will be an historical title. It's not at the highest levels in motorsport in North America where you think of a 15-year-old dominating the longest running road racing series in America, is it?
You know, it's interesting because I was obviously Canadian and watched all the big races up at Mosport when I was starting my career. And I remember the drivers like Willie T. Ribbs, Tom Gloy, Ron Fellows, all those guys running all those cars way back then. And seeing these Trans Am cars run there, it was just completely amazing. There's a good chance that the Trans Am Series might just head north next year and might end up running back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, hence Mosport. And if that's the case, if that deal gets done, that's going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, it was the suspension on the 17. And obviously that crash from Tommy Sheehan that knocked him out. But Brent Cruz, we haven't seen a lot of him racing all the time because he's usually out front somewhere, or at least on his own, and he does a good job of getting into his groove. And as you can see, he's using the rumble strips, but using them sensibly, just touching them, just kind of kissing them a little bit, but not bumping over, and being kind to the machinery. You've told me that in the past.
Yeah, and just look how smooth he is. I mean, the car's not moving around. He's not making the back end step out, taking care of the tires, as we'd like to say, just making sure that if you can drive around there at 90% of the car's ability, your ability at 90%, you're leaving something in the tank that you have left for if you need to get if there a yellow happens, you need to go racing. That always has to be mindful. Now, races like have a yellow, but then again, you have to learn to conserve the tires. One of the big things we talk about in all our junior series, like the F4 and the FR.
No question about it. And the drone telling us, giving us a beautiful sight of that turn 1 turn, and you can see that funnel-like way that it dives in there, and then there's not a lot of reprieve before you get out of 2, and then into the Mission Foods turn 3. And that infield, boy, it's busy. So we're watching a cracking race here. Chris Dyson leading in TA and Connor Zilic in 4th overall and leading the way in TA2. It's been a good race so far and a good, clean race so far. And so we're just hoping, I'm hoping anyway, that we don't have a caution, we get all the way. I'm sure that's exactly what's happening with the three-dimensional services group as they watch on and watch their timing screens just as we are. Now, 41 gone. Scott, if you were talking to your engineer, this is the time where it becomes important by what you say and what feedback you give to the engineer, because now is the time where you start to feel those tyres. The light load of the petrol going down, and also the feel of the tyres given this abrasive surface.
Well, 24 gallons of fuel at 6.57 pounds per gallon. I mean, the car's becoming lighter, and so the driver has to adapt. I mean, there's not anything he's going to really do inside the car with the exception of brake buys. Not like a single-seater where if you're oval, you're changing, obviously, corner weight, and then they have an option to change wings and things like that during pit stops. No pit stops here, so yes. You're getting all that. Now, everything coming to the crew for them to understand what's going on is coming from the driver, Johnny, because there's no telemetry in this series here. There's no situation where the crew is now starting to look at.
Somebody else has had a prank.
A left-hand side there, you can see it looks like somebody actually had a tire go down or else ended up hitting something. We'll get a chance to see what car that is.
So we're starting to get more of an attrition rate. We've had several cars go out. We've just noticed another one is Jade Buford in the spiked Coolers number 48, racing, of course, for Scott Borchetta, who had a crash at Road Atlanta, joined us back in Nashville, but is letting Jade, who's usually an Xfinity driver, take the car for the rest of the season, and doing a pretty good job, actually. He's already had a podium or so, and again, having a good run here.
Yeah, it looks very smooth. You could see the car struggling a little bit with power down when he was coming back onto the oval out of turn 7 when we were watching that just a second ago, but nice smooth lines. Perfectly placed. You see a little bit of the back end movement there. That's the area we went over yesterday, John. Remember when we were driving in the Petty garage car? It's just a little bit rough in that section there. A lot of drivers can notice that. But there again, you know it's there, making sure that you're gentle in your car over that section.
And we welcome our viewers back on MAP TV as we are 42 of the 63 laps of this race, round 11 of the TA2 Big Machine Vodka Spike Cooler Series, as well as the TA2 Championship, all presented by Pirelli. We've got an all-class field. It was always going to be interesting. And alongside me, Jonathan Green, Scott Goodyear, this has been interesting. Dyson has sucked up the pressure from Hendrickson throughout this race. The gap is still less than half a second. Meanwhile, Merrill in TA2 is trying to get on level terms with Brent Cruz, but he's running out of time.
You know, I'm probably going to go against the grain here because all the drivers didn't seem to like this multi-class racing, but I like it.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe we should do some more of it.
I agree.
I'm sure my phone will blow up tomorrow, but there you go. No, I think it's actually been very good, and you know, if you end up having some more TA cars mixed in there with there, I mean, it would be very interesting. I happen to, loved driving and now watching the Daytona 24 Hours, so I think this is pretty cool.
Well, Merrill's up to 9th now, and he's chasing Brent Cruz in 5th. Now we've got a caution. Now, I tempted you, didn't I?
There you go.
That is bad news for Boris Said Jr. The rear of that car ripped off, and I wonder if that's a combination. I don't know. We'll soon find out. But anyway, that was no question that was a big hit for the back of that car. So that brings out a full caution, surely. Now, how does this change, and how does this approach change? Let's put you in Brent Cruz's position. You're leading in TA2, or in Chris Dyson's position, you're leading the race in TA. There he is. Now what do you think about it?
Well, and this is a little bit different than maybe some, because what they're going to end up doing is putting the classes together for a restart. So they're going to have all the TA cars together, and then the leader for TA2 and all those cars behind him. So there won't be any lap cars because they're going to bring them in and put them to the back of the field. So it's going to be almost like a start again on this restart, Johnny. So
with
this
the TA guys at the front, yeah.
So this goes back to what I was saying before. Who's left some tires on the car? Who's used up too much car? I don't think Brent's really used his tires. He looks so smooth, but this is where you need to make sure you get a good restart and use that whole thing here is now starts and restarts, opportunity for passing.
Well, we've been talking about A.J. Hendrickson throughout most of this race, doing a great job in second place, chasing down Dreesy. Let's hear from he and the team as we go down to Ben Sissel.
Tire wear, because you guys... Hey, thank you very much. I'm down here with Stevie Ray, ECC Motorsports. And Stevie Ray, AJ's doing so well, keeping up with Dyson, even having some looks here into turn 1. Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers, turn 1. But you did come up to me and you said, what's everybody saying about tire wear? Are you worried about tire wear?
A little bit, but I think we'll be okay. We swapped them from left to right before we went out. It was recommended by Pirelli, so we did that. And he's just kind of cruising. He hasn't really said anything. He's just kind of being patient. We're trying to make Dreesy drive his mirror a little bit and see if we can rattle him.
He doesn't seem to be rattled on the radio. Is he having a good time?
I think so. He's having a real good time. Like I said, when you don't hear the driver, that's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. Now, George, if you could step over with me, you can see right now we've got three-dimensional. They're getting tires ready here on the wall. And Scott Goodyear and I were talking about this before the race, that we thought tires might become an issue. And we saw all of the crews come over when the number 17 came in with tire problems. And it looks like right here, we've got somebody from three-dimensional changing tires. It looks like we've got Thad Moffitt coming in. I'm not sure why he's coming into the pit lane, but we've got a lot coming around in here in the pit lane. So, gentlemen, back up to you in the tower.
Interesting. They've got tires out for the 88, but I thought he was out.
Yeah.
Now, Thad Moffitt coming in the 43.
A little different than the IndyCar when you got the air jacks and you got the one wheel nuts. So I give it to these guys because 5 wheel nuts and the old style of doing it. Even NASCAR today has gone over to the central nut.
Well, Thad Moffitt choosing to put on some sticker tires, and as you say, it's almost manual pit stop, because we don't do pit stops, or any provision. We don't do pit stops as a nature. We do a sprint race, so any pit stop really slows you down, and the only time you can really get away with it is under caution like this. And even so, it's still quite laborious, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, can they get this all done within the 1 lap? It's a very difficult scenario, but obviously the driver thinks that he needs tires to be able to give him some grip, because he feels that might be just worth the benefit. And, sometimes when you feel that, Johnny, sometimes it is the best thing to do, because you're not going to throw the car away and turn around and have it end up hitting the wall and creating the damage and a big parts bill.
So then we're looking high above the Customers Bank Turn 7, the turn that takes you on to the oval, a very important corner. Now we're in that oval section. It really doesn't look that banked from on board, does it? But it's a little bit steeper than perhaps you get it from the onboard. But
and we really felt that when we drove around yesterday, especially right in the very center of it. I never did the oval here in the IndyCar, and obviously those are so much different because you have so much downforce on those cars. But there's definitely a bowl, and it sort of dips right there in the middle, and it seemed like it could give you a lot of grip, but few laps in the car because you were screaming, so I had to come in.
Now, listen. No, I wasn't screaming. Now, listen, let's talk strategy. We just talked about it. Let's go down to Ben Sissel and find out what he's learned down there.
Well, thank you, guys. What I can guess, I haven't confirmed this, but I had heard that the three-dimensional services group team has been practicing and rehearsing these tire changes. So instead of Thad Moffitt going to Team SLR, they brought him right down to three-dimensional services group that are also running M1 chassis. So I think with the training that the three-dimensional services group team has gone through, they were able to make those tire changes quicker. So great strategy there as we see the cars lining up and changing the directions. I cannot confirm that as a strategy right now, gentlemen, but that's my guess. Back to you.
Curiouser and curiouser, as Alison Wonderland once said, but it's all going on as we go back on board with Austin Green. He's had a good run so far. We're still under caution here, and this could be the make and break of this race, because after this, it's hell-bent for leather for the line here in the beautiful skies of Madison, Illinois. And it's had some great racing in the past here at the World Wide Technology Speedway. Very proud of this facility. It's had some up and downs over the years, and proud to say that it's got a fantastic oval for NASCAR and IndyCar. IndyCar here just in August, and Yeah, they love their NASCAR here as well. But it's Trans Am this weekend. There's the pace car. That's the car that we went round in. And that nice little car, too, that Dodge Challenger.
Well, we saw 125 miles an hour, I think we did, coming down
Doesn't feel like
turn
you're
one.
going all that fast when you're a racetrack. It really doesn't.
Yeah, which was certainly a lot of fun. Again, thank you for Petty Garage for allowing us to go ahead and use that. I could not have that at home because I think I would be getting tickets. So
here's an interesting one, Scott. We've mentioned this before in the past, but these two, Connor Zilic and Brent Cruz, literally grew up racing together since babies. They've been racing against each other, I think, since 4 or 5 years old in cars. They got all the way, they've always been a year or two apart, but they're good friends off the track, but they've known each other so long. They know each other's racing style, they know each other's heads about going racing, and now here we are again, 2023, championships on the line, Brent Cruz leading it. Zilic has been the man that most people are talking about because he's had to come from the back a couple of times and win races, so there's no doubting the skills of both guys, but it's hard to pick which is the better one. Annunziata, another youngster, 17 years of age, he too fits that bill, but the two at the front is a really interesting dynamic.
The young guns is very impressive, and obviously I'm not with you full time here. And as we were watching that for viewers at home, you saw a couple of cars starting to go around the pack, and those are the TA cars that, through the rules right now in this multi-class racing today, are going up to lead the pack. So they'll be the ones actually directly behind.
And you can see it.
And then the other cars here, actually lap cars, are going to end up letting those cars go down. So they'll be at the tail end of the pack. Some reshuffling going around here right now, just so you understood what those cars were that you saw from the view up top.
Glad I've got a race director with me. David Hoots, of course, in the hot seat for our Trans Am. And Scott Goodyear, who sits alongside me today, does exactly the same job in F4 and FR. Back in action again, VIR.
But let me continue touching on that, the young guns. We saw it in Formula One. That's had a change, and now the young ones coming in there. We're seeing it now with IndyCar because that's now started. Now you've got, the one and only, because he's just like almost Mario Andretti, the one and only Scott Dixon, who can just at his age today. But, with Kevin Simpson now signing, 18 years of age and driving IndyCar full-time next year. I didn't start driving a race car, until I was 20. Okay, so that's how it's changed over the decades right now. They're getting younger. Obviously, we take the 15-year-olds in F4, and then we're taking now 14-year-olds in F4 Junior next year. But, it's become more younger and younger all the time. But you would expect them to make a mistake. You'd expect them not to be able to be patient. But these guys are defying it all. And like I said, I was just blown away by meeting them and talking to them. They are superstars in the making.
The thing we have to get over as oldies ourselves is when you talk to Brent Cruz, and he is immaculate when it comes to an interview, same with Connor Zilic, they have been racing some 12 years and doing interviews with media, doing marketing and sponsorship, and having to stand up in front of groups of 200 or having to be grilled by a team of 6 engineers each day. They get used to it. They can deal with that pressure. And it's really, the emphasis is on us to realize that at 15, they've already got a massive career of over a decade underneath them.
And you say that, as we're watching again the car just in front, the 55 in Milton Grant, I'm just really amazed that they haven't had him come and take that piece off right now. But it is exactly, and the key thing right now is that you have to be as good off the track as you are on the track today. Back even when I got involved in racing, it was all done on your performance on race day because there wasn't the social media, there wasn't all the sponsor commitments.
Now here comes Treacy at speed, and the reason for that is he needs to get into 3rd place overall. They'll have radioed him now. Dyson's where he needs to be. Hendrickson's where he needs to be in 2nd, and now Treacy, there he goes, will get up to 3rd, and as soon as that happens, we are ready to go. And that means the field will be once again led by Connor Zilic in TA2, and Brent Cruz right behind him, the man you're looking at there from Austin Green's point of view, in the 3-dimensional services on board.
Okay, so what we went through at Watkins Glen on the restarts, okay? Now, for Brent Cruz, same sort of scenario. If he's going to have a shot at maybe making and getting a pass done, he's going to try and get it done on the restart going into turn 1 or somewhere on the first lap. He wants to actually see if he actually be in front of Connor as soon as he possibly can. Otherwise, he gives clear track to Connor out in front. Connor might just have a little bit more speed. Looks like the safety back now, so are we going to go back to green? I suspect so.
I don't know if Cruz is going to go too hard and too heavy on this restart, simply because he's got an 81-point lead, which he's trying to defend. Zilic is in 4th in the championship. Merrill's nowhere to see, and Matos has gone home. So he's got to be careful here. And here we're going to go racing at the green flag, coming round here at turn 8. On board with Austin Green in about 6th place at the moment. In fact, yes, he is in 6th place. Brent Cruz is 5th. Here we go then. The top 3 from TA will lead the pack. They're in their own race, and this is a great opportunity for Dreesy to come back at this one. Look at them all tight together as we get ready to go racing. Look to your left-hand side, and you'll see that green flag wave. There it is, and away we go. Dyson gets a good run. Hendrickson right there in 2nd place, and Dreesy. Here goes TA2. Zilic pulling ahead. And this should give us a cleaner finish to the race, given the TA won't have the traffic to deal with, hopefully, before the end of this race. And sure enough, Zilic under pressure from Cruz. Austin Green's right there. Nathan Hearn, the top 4 in TA2, all line astern, as Cruz looking to make a way past Zilic. Buford's in there as well.
Oh, yeah, just in his tracks, too. It looks like he really is thinking about it. I take exactly and agree with you about as far as the championship is concerned, but, you know, as
oh, somebody's made a puff of smoke there. One of the TA cars. So, into the customer bank. Oh, it was Hendrickson who's gone off in the 79. And that's a weird one.
Yeah, no, I think he actually spun it coming out of there, and then locked up the brakes because it's powered down coming out of there. It's only a 55-mile-an-hour turn with 850-plus horsepower.
Yeah,
I think he just got the back end coming around.
Well, that's helped Dreesy no end. Remember, Dreesy, the man who could only man really who can catch Dyson, and they're 133 points apart. But he wants to stay ahead of Pintarik, who's only a few points, 16 behind Dreesy. So this will help Dreesy in the points anyway.
And right there, we're riding with Austin Green. It looks probably, I would say that Nathan Hearn was right behind him, so it looked like he was trying to go around the outside of him going in through 1.
And Thomas Merrill under pressure now from Hearn. Look at this, great onboard shots as we see the Merrill car, the Coke car, go sideways there. This is a great little battle here for the closing stages. There's Buford in it as well. Merrill up to 9th, and Buford, he really needs the points, does Merrill. He doesn't need to be overtaken by any of these two. And on to the oval they go again. Back on board with Nathan Hearn.
You can see the difference in cars there, how they're getting the power down. It was very interesting coming onto that straight there. Some people could yank the other cars by about 3 or 4 lengths.
Down the main straight again, and getting a little bit of a gap now to Hearn as they dive into the big machine. Vodka, Spike Coolers, turn 1, and back out to turn 2, heading towards Mission Foods turn 3. And Merrill doing every which way to try and stay ahead of Hearn in the 29. Good racing from Hearn. We're on board again. Up to turn 6 now, the long, wide run through 6 that seems to go on forever. He's as close as he's been.
Now power down here is so difficult. Just up 1 gear, you get a little bit of speed up there, just about 100 miles an hour back into about a 55-mile-an-hour turn. And here's putting the power down. This is so important.
Time running out, though. The clock ticking down. It's been a cracking race.
Oh,
a cleaner race than I thought.
About 115, 120 mile an hour here on the accelerator, pushing the throttle down. We've seen those speeds up to about 150 miles an hour, about 5 miles an hour shy than we saw in qualifying. There we go. That was 151. Here's the thing, though. If you can get into braking and be able to get a couple of lengths, get the power back on at all so the guy's not going to drive away from you in front. It's sort of like a give and take, and you have to sort of see what your car has and the availability. Now, don't forget, there's going to be a lot of marbles on this racetrack right now because, yes, we had a yellow, but there wasn't a blower out there to clean the racetrack
That's
off.
true.
These drivers are very much aware of what the racetrack's offering them right now, so you got to be very cognizant of that.
Merrill's car looks as though it's a little loose, to be honest. When we watch it from Hearn's perspective, it looks like that rear end is definitely getting out of shape a little bit. And Hearn, you can see, getting away from Buford behind him, and Buford trying to stay with both of them, and just losing a little ground. A little twitch there from Hearn's car as he got out of Customer's Bank. Yeah. Onto the banking. Yeah, 151 last time out. Does he get any quicker this time? Got a bit of a draft this time from Merrill. No, yeah, just touched 153, that's all. But it gets him closer to Merrill.
So this is now where you want to be rolling on the throttle, carry some speed through the apex, and hopefully have a good acceleration run to not let the car in front of you drive away or to maybe catch up a little bit. And then if he makes a mistake at all, that you're there ready to pounce on it.
This is intriguing, a great battle between these two. 15 minutes to go. And 9 laps to go. That's what we run here, a 63-lap race or 100 miles. And it could be either one, depending on the stoppages, but this has been pretty clean. We should get a decent finish to this one within the laps. Hearn, one hand on the steering wheel as he dives through the oval. Well, he's not frightened of the banking at all, is he? He's staying close with Merrill. Across the strip again. The gap stays the same, but Buford has lost time to these two.
You know, we talk about the cars burning off fuel, that 24-gallon tank, and you know these guys are getting close to the end of the race, so they probably burned off anywhere like 120 or 130 pounds of fuel off the car, so that's coming off the back of the car's handling a little bit different right now. The tires are starting to be worn, they're going away, but that's where the driver has to sort of adapt to this because, as we talked about before, there's no adjustments in these cars with the exception of brake bias. So everything that happens right now is from the driver, from the throttle to the braking to the steering, and they're the ABS, they're the traction control, and everything that goes on. We have all this automated stuff in our cars today, but this is about as raw American horsepower in driving as you get.
Yeah, no question about it. A cracking battle here between these two. We'll keep an eye on it as we come down to the closing stages. So as we get down to this crucial stage here at Madison, Illinois, at this famous raceway, the World Wide Technology Raceway. And you can see Merrill pushing on here. He's lost the back of the car, or part of the back of the car.
Yeah, see how much is sliding around now? They're up over the curbs. Those cones have been knocked out of the way. Now is the time where you turn around and make the racetrack a little bit wider. Different lines going in there. I'd love to see this. This is great.
Yeah, it's really good. And Hearn's just putting the pressure on, trying to force Merrill into a mistake. But Merrill, our champion, is such an accurate driver. I mean, he's one of those guys that doesn't easily get intimidated.
Yeah, and he's playing it safe right now. You can see he's going in there. He's slowing the car down a little bit more on entry into phase one and then sort of getting back on the gas. So as a driver, when you're driving, you see that guy doing that in front of you, you have to alter your line to sort of start to make advantage of it because it doesn't look like he can get into the corners as deep as he'd like to under braking. Let's watch to see what happens here in one.
Thad Moffitt in the 43 just behind them. Moffitt's had a good run. Remember, he came in. He's currently 9th. He came in for those new tyres, and that has not done him any harm. He's just behind Hearn. And then Seata's still in the top 10. Jace Denmark's had a good run. He's 11. Lostowski 12. Mock is 13. Sargé up to 14th. And Grant Palmer in his debut in the top 15. Good run by him, the local man from St. Charles. He's 20 years of age. His ambition to get into IndyCar, and he's on the way. He's done a lot of single-seaters, trying out Trans Am this weekend, and it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses in his career. 58 of the 63 laps gone. No way past so far for Hearn on our champion Merrill, but might be able to use this traffic if he's lucky. But this has been a cracking battle, and we've been on board with it throughout most of it. Hope you're enjoying this on MAV TV. Live coverage from Madison, Illinois. First time in 38 years we've been here as Trans Am. We came here back in 1985, Wally Dollenbach Jr. And before that, back in the late 60s, when Mark Donohue, on his way to the title, won here, but not at this particular track, but in Illinois. Oh, knock goes the bolt. One of the barriers gets knocked away by Merrill, but no harm, no foul.
Thomas Merrill right now, he's driving the wheels off that car, Johnny, because he is struggling and he is actually just playing it safe. And I mean, right now his heart rate's probably going a mile a minute, and you can see right there he can't get the power down. A little bit of a nudge there saying, hey, come on, give me some room. It'd be interesting. He's probably going to get overtaken in some braking areas here. You see how he goes and covers the braking area going into the turn? Because he cannot actually get underneath there and get as much braking
and it's
as he
allowed
wants.
that Moffitt to catch up with Hearn. That's why he's getting frustrated. Hearn wants by. He doesn't want to have this attention from Thad Moffat, grandson, of course, to Richard Petty, who I'm sure is at home watching right now going, hey, I used to do this kind of race.
and did it quite well. How many wins? Was it 200? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That was real ovals, though. One of the greats. And that number, I'd hate to have that. That's a signal on your back. And sure enough, the famous 43 number does go through on Hearn. So just what Hearn didn't want, which is an overtake.
Yeah, but watch Hearn. You can see how much he's working the steering wheel. And right now he's fighting the car, like we talked about, just like Thomas Merrill did. Moffat with the advantage of tires, so that's going to be the key thing right there.
You're not missing anything at the front as Dyson continues. He's got away from Hendrickson, who had that problem, but he remains second and Dreesy still third. That's the battle for TA, but we're watching, obviously, this battle for the top 10 in TA2. Zilic still out front. In fourth overall, Brent Cruz behind him, Austin Green in sixth. Merrill, Nathan Hearn and Moffat. That's the battle that we're watching and concentrating on, as we should. We're on board with Nathan Hearn as he dives through turn 80 yet again. Time running out, though. Just a couple of laps to go. The Australian, hell-bent for leather here on his first oval.
Now, Moffat should have been able to carry a lot more speed through the banking because he had the grip. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There's Zilic, fourth overall, and there you can see the lead he's got on Cruz. He is in control of this race in the silver hair, number 7. This is more like it. Zilic not having to have the drama of coming from the back, and this has been a relatively, effectively drama-free race for the silver hair team, and they'll like that. But Zilic, throughout this whole season, has been picture perfect. He has delivered on everything he's been asked to do. Just been superb, picture perfect. And while Brent Cruz may take this championship, I'm certainly going to remember the contribution that this man Zilic has made.
Doing such a nice job. You can see how good the car is right through that oval section. The thing just sits down on the racetrack and goes through that. And the other thing I noticed, even at the Watkins Glen event I did with you, and I'm noticing it here too, is that the power down, he's able to get the power down and accelerate out of the turn without any issue whatsoever. So they've got that car working super well.
Coming down to the closing stages, penultimate lap here at this Roval circuit. Final lap now for the leaders, which is Chris Dyson. And of course in TA2, Connor Zilic. The 17-year-old has not put a foot wrong so far. And likewise, Dyson had to deal with traffic and AJ Hendrickson's for so long, but got away. Hendrickson making that problem, or having a problem at the start of the restart. And there's the white flag, and here he is. The final lap then for Chris Dyson. And it's plain sailing for the Jim Weed number 16 Ford Mustang. And it's been a sensational year for the Dyson crew, CD Racing as they're called. Matt Brabham, who has been a huge part of the success, getting wins himself, now up in the box, basically doing the spotting for Chris Dyson, so it's a team win all round. And Matt's a great team player. Obviously, he wants to be in any car he can get in, but when he's asked to do a job, he'll do it and get on with it. And he's been a real help to Chris Dyson this weekend at this particular track, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Just so much wealth of knowledge between these drivers with so much experience, which really helps when you come to a racetrack that's brand new. You can go and look at the data, look at the video, and just get some ideas about what you need to do to change the car. But, I think from the conversation with Chris, the concerns that he had about multi-class racing, I think he's going to think after today it's okay.
Dyson's going to do it here in Madison. He takes the checkered flag and wins yet again. And the TA Championship is all but wrapped up. He'll win it surely at VIR. And Connor Zilic in the silver hair, number 7 Chevrolet, does it again. Pole position to checkered flag, does it in style, and shows Brent Cruz what he can do as Cruz comes home in second place at TA2. And right behind him, Austin Green, who's put in a good run. Well done, though, to the all-Graham Jim Weed, number 16. All-out absolute domination of the 2023 season by this team. It's never easy from the inside of the team, as we heard from Chris Dyson. But certainly from our vantage point, these are the cars, the 16 and the 20, that we've seen at the sharp end throughout most of the season. And they continue to dominate here. We heard at Watkins Glen last time out that David Patarik gave this young man, I say young man, his opportunity back in 2007 to race a Trans Am car. And since then, he's not looked back, and we are thankful for it. But some good stories throughout this race. A little bit of attrition, as we expected. A little bit of worry about the tyres, as we expected. But all in all, pretty clean race.
You know something? I just think we just proved to ourselves today that multi-class racing works. It's exciting. And you know what? As a driver, I think it makes you become a better driver because you have more to contend with. So I know there's concerns about this at the very beginning, but I'm now a proponent for it. I'd like to see it. Like I said, the phone will light up tomorrow with "Are you crazy?" But I think
good job for Austin Green. He's in his battle for the rookies, remember. Young Guns title also up for grabs, but of course Brent Cruz dominating in that and again getting big points in that. The big story though, Rafa Matos not finishing this race, started the weekend in contention, and that's going to help Merrill get closer on the runner-up spot for sure. So in comes Chris Dyson. Interesting to hear what he has to say. And there is the 7, just behind him, Chris Durbin. But Weekend Farms quarter horses, that's what they run. There, Zilich sponsored by that. Just 17 years of age. Whoa, what a career he's got.
Yeah, and so young. Chris Dyson, just a little bit older than that. I will say, I can say that because Chris and I have raced against each other.
Well, I met 3.0 the other day at Watkins Glen. He's only about 8 or 9.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. But, I mean, both of them, yes, cool suits and everything that you have today in these cars. But, you know, it's been hot today. The humidity probably was the factor today because humidity is so high here in the St. Louis area. But good for him. Yeah. Yeah, but a great guy to have in our sport, and then you know, he just does so much for motor racing. It's very very helpful to the series also, just with thoughts and ideas with all the racing, with all the racetracks we go to. I've had some conversations with him on that, but senior in the series, but great driver.
Well, off comes the helmet. The sweat is obvious. It's a long 100 miles, but let's head down to Ben Sissel, who's with our winner, Chris Dyson.
Go get it, bro. Well, you can see Chris Dyson getting some ice-cold water by his crew down here at Jim Weed Winner's Circle. Chris Dyson, hard fought. Man, you know, I know it's everybody's first time at World Wide Technology Raceway, but man, that had to be a little fun.
Man, I was trying to think it wasn't going to be as hard, but it was tough out there. It was physical. The cool suit pinched early. Finally got it working the second stint after the yellow. But, man, we had to work for this one. And AJ was just phenomenal all day out there. I mean, hats off to those guys just turning up like this and competing at that level. I mean, I had to use every piece in my arsenal out there today. But the Jim Weed car's back in victory lane. Great points for the championship. Couldn't be happier for the guys. A trouble-free weekend. We really needed one of those. I thank God for that. And I thank God for all my family. Nick, we did it. P1, baby.
Congratulations, Chris. We'll see you in a couple weeks here at VIR. Now we're going to come over here and get Connor Zilich. Connor, man, another unbelievable performance here with Silver Hair Racing. That has to feel good.
Yeah, it does feel really good. It feels awesome. You know, these guys have worked really hard. They've never given up on me. We've been through a lot this year, but the bottom line is we've always had fast race cars, and, you know, Silver Hair has always brought me a really fast Chevrolet Camaro. So just thankful to drive these cars week in and week out, and you know, just compete for wins every time I show up to the track to run in the TA2 series. And you know, thank you to all these guys. I mean, Jeff Cessna, unfortunately Jeff Hawley couldn't make it this weekend, so I had interim crew chief Jeff Cessna here helping me out, and you know, everyone, Dozier back at home, all my family, my mom and dad. You know, my mom's probably watching right now. It takes a whole army to get me here and to get me racing, and you know, it means a lot to come out here and kind of win my third in a row. Not technically, but you know, we got a lot of momentum right now. So, you know, thank you, Maurice and Laura Hull. They've given me this opportunity to race in the series this year. So, you know, to come out here and make the most of it is special to me.
Nice. Congratulations, Connor Zilich. Nice job. Let's come over and talk to Tommy Dreesy, who's third in TA. I can't find AJ Hendrickson, but I could see in the corner of my eyes that something was going on back here. Tommy Dreesy, third place. Nice job out there. How was your race?
We finished second.
You did finish second?
Yeah. I don't know. You know, hey, first of all, I'm sorry to AJ. I did not mean to turn him around. I would never do that. I let him go in easy at 1 on the start. You know, we made a mistake at turn 1. I had a re-entry, so I went almost down a lap. All I needed to do was stay 5 seconds ahead of the leaders and wait for a yellow. And with the rules they had, I would start behind AJ. It was for position, and I think they're really pissed off that I hit him a lap down. That was for, and I'm sorry, to that team. I really liked them all. He raced a great race, but I had the car on the restart.
Well, Tommy Dreese there now. Let me just say this to the camera. I'm not sure if what he says is accurate. All that's going to be, luckily, neither one of you or I don't solve this. That's up to the stewards. So we'll ask, but let's talk to Stevie Ray and their team. So, Stevie Ray, what's going on? I could see that things got a little bit heated there.
Somebody just, I don't know, he did something he shouldn't have, man. I mean, he had nothing all day long. We ran away from him. He was about ready to get lapped down before the double yellow came out. And then the guy just wrecks us. He wrecks us. The car's wrecked. He wrecked it.
Now, do we know, did AJ finish second or third? Where is he at?
Oh, we got second. But we wanted to run with Dyson. We were with him all day long. We had something, and it just got taken from us. So I'm pissed.
As your friend, I know that was really hard to keep that expletive from coming out, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's all going to work out. But, man, great race there. Like Chris Dyson said, so much fun to race with A.J. Hendrickson. I'm sure Matt Brabham wishes he was out there, but he was spotting for our winner, Chris Dyson. But, gentlemen, he's not sure if he wants to. I'm going to send it back up to you in the booth.
Keep your head down there, Ben. I'd go and take your tour of the arch. It might be a good time to do it. But here's the results then from our Trans Am series presented by Pirelli. The Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series. Dyson with the win in TA. Hendrickson and Dreese battling it for second and third. The Dodge Challenger and the Ford Mustang. But in TA2, we're pretty sure that Connor Zilic as out-and-out winner in that one in the Chevrolet Camaro by Silver Hair. Brent Cruz second, that helps his championship further. Austin Green, good result in sixth. Thomas Merrill, the champion, in seventh. Thad Moffitt, good result in eighth position. And then Thomas Annunziata in ninth. Jace Denmark coming into the championship and getting a top 10. Well done to him in the Ford Mustang. And a little further down, Dean Thompson in 21st, or excuse me, Lostowski first of all in 11th, then Mock, Sajay Hearn dropping down there at the end, Grant Palmer in his first race 15th, Barry Bowes, Buford 17th, Durban getting a finish, Abate in 19th, Richard Forsyth coming in this weekend, he gets 20th, and then a little further down to round out our time here. Some good racing throughout all of that infield, as we expected, and some drama indeed, right to the very get-go. And as we look ahead, Scott Goodyear, you've been around this championship enough this year to know that, tempers fray now and again. It's serious stuff, this. But we're pretty sure that we're going to see Dyson and Cruz taking those laurels at COTA.
And that's the result of hard work throughout the whole year, not only by the drivers, but also all the crew and the car manufacturers and everybody getting together and working as a team, as you always did. And, it's going to be very interesting because now we can move on to VIR and then COTA, some natural terrain road courses. But what I liked about this racetrack, Johnny, is, it's just 1.6 miles, and it was a fight.
Well, as you can see, Nathan Hearn is out of his car. He's taking a break, so we'll do the same. We'll be right back from St. Louis after this.
Honey, did you do something to the car? It's so quiet.
Do the new P0 AS Plus 3 tires from Pirelli provide a quieter ride? Yes. The new tires from Pirelli deliver high performance and, as she noticed, an exceptionally quiet and comfortable ride. The new P0 AS Plus 3 tires from Pirelli. Performance for every mile.
I'm Richard Petty, and you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor, give Clean Harbors a call.
We're at a commercial break.
Welcome back. We're the Gateway, where Lewis and Clark began their expedition, and we kind of did our own expedition into the dark today because it was the first time we've raced this configuration, but it was a good race on the infield and part oval of this racetrack at Gateway. Really enjoyed racing here, and it had everything that we'd expect for the racing from all classes, and I actually think it threw up a little bit more fun than we often have with the single class racing. Welcome back to MAV TV and our fans from around the States watching on MAV TV. And Scott, just before we take a look at the results and also looking ahead to VIR and COTA, we've only got 2 rounds to go. What's your takeaway as we look at the results again? Anybody you want to point to? I said to you halfway through the race, Merrill needs to finish six or so, and he got 7.
You know, and I think when I spoke to him earlier, he knew he had to do that. He didn't know what the racetrack was offering him, but he was smart, like I said, in the Scott Dixon mind frame, where he knew that he had to keep those guys in sight. I think he accomplished that today. You still have 2 races left. Anything can happen. A car, and I've had it, you can drive out of the pit lane and something can happen. We saw it today with the 88, and you know, you don't finish a race, you have no points. Anything's possible until the final race of the season, so that's how you have to think about it.
Shout out to Jace Denmark. Not easy to come out of single-seaters and jump in a big monster like Trans Am, but he equipped himself well. Obviously, what he's doing at the Radford School is helping him, and also in his single-seater quest. So he's at a venture at 19, or a point in his career at 19, where he could go either way.
You know, and he's proved himself to be very, very good in his tin top, as I like to call it. So give him a lot of credit for what he just did today.
Good run from Josh Sargent yet again. Nathan Hearn battling in the top 10 for a long time. Shout out to the young 20-year-old Grant Palmer from St. Charles in Missouri, just down the road. He's another one. He's trying to go in single-seaters, but thought he'd give TA2 a run. And I'm just so pleased to have these youngsters that either come from the dirt or come from single-seaters and just want to try what muscle cars racing is all about.
And Grant looked at some of our racing last year, you know, within our series, and I'll tell you what, he's a likable young man and a sponsorship's dream, and I'm just hoping that he finds the success that he needs off the track, which is the funding, the sponsorship, to be able to go and live his dream driving on the race course.
And great to see Michelle Abate back. She's still suffering with that broken ankle. She's got a slight, well, if you like, a splint, really, to keep it stable. But she is back from injury, and she's back racing, and that's the important thing for her, the girl from Las Vegas.
And she accomplished what she said to me this morning she wanted to do. I just want to finish. I'm just coming back. She had a brake issue, which caused a crash, as you know, at Road America, and then she had a little brake issues here this weekend, so probably a little bit unnerving for her. She did a great job.
I feel for Boris Said Jr. and Taylor Gray. They look so good early on, and same for Travis Cope, I suppose, coming in the Mike Cope race Ford Mustang, but not getting the result he deserved. So as we look high above St. Louis, a beautiful shot of, well, the Cardinals play down there, one of the most successful baseball teams in the world. But talking of men who've got fame in this town, Ben Sissel is on the Walk of Fame. Yes, he is. He's got 2 Grammys. But now he's got to do our podium. Down to you, Ben.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in my hometown of St. Louis. World Wide Technology Raceway for the Gateway SpeedTour. Everybody join up. Come on, St. Louis. Let's hear it. Act like you're at a Cardinals game, a postseason Cardinals game. We are going to start with the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series. In the Pro-Am category, St. Louis, get loud. Chris Durbin. Where's Chris Durbin? Here he is. Look at this. That's 2 in a row for you, Chris Durbin. I love it. So stand right in the middle. Let's see, Chris, is this about the middle? All right. Chris, nice job. And the car looks great. Again, how was it out there?
Hot. Thanks to Brian Cohn Racing. He was coaching for us this week. Flying Wrenches crew, AMSOIL, Super Oil Pro, PME Engines, Hal Chassis, JRI Shocks. Thank you, Ben Sissel.
Well, thank you. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Durbin, Pro-Am. Beautiful race. 2 in a row for Chris Durbin. Hold that up, Chris. Did you get that? Chris Clark, Chris Green. We got lots of Chris's here. Come on, St. Louis. Get loud. Chris Durbin, Pro-Am. And he's coming through the ranks in Pro-Am. Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series. Chris Durbin, Pro-Am winner here. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Chris, congratulations. Nice job. Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series has this program called Young Guns that has just taken off in the last 2 years, and the top 3 in TA2 are all Young Guns. Coming in third place, racing with Three-Dimensional Services Group. Get loud, St. Louis, Austin Green. In second place, another, that's 2 seconds in a row, really doing well for his championship. Let's hear it for Brent Cruz. Nitro Motorsports Franklin Road Apparel. And then in first place, Waukegan Farms Quarter Horses Silver Hair Racing, the number 7 Chevrolet Camaro, Connor Zilich, ladies and gentlemen. So, our elder statesman here in TA2 at a bright 22 years old, Austin Green, doing really well in the championship here, representing the Young Guns Three-Dimensional Services Group. How was your race out here at World Wide Technology Raceway?
It was great. It was a good finish. Thankfully we've had a good couple string of podium finishes. So just huge thanks to everybody at Three-Dimensional Service Group. Mr. Peterson, he's not here this weekend, unfortunately. So, but yeah, it was a fun race. It's a fun track. We had to manage a lot of the tires, so I think that made the ending pretty special.
Nice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do ask. This man did just get out of a race car. He's just usually that low key. Are you ever going to get excited?
I know. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited. Yeah. A very chill person, I guess.
Nice. I love a very chill person. Austin Green, third place, ladies and gentlemen. Brent Cruz currently, I believe, leading the championship in Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series. He won our Young Guns last year, 15 years old. Is that correct? Brent Cruz, great race. How was it out there?
Yeah, we had a great race car. Coming from 5th and getting to 3rd early was super special. Having a pretty good short run car too, and then throughout the run, there wasn't much saving for me because I had to kind of work my way through the field a little bit. And then we had a pretty good race car, just not enough for the 7. Kind of fell off there at the end, which was what the penalty was for not being able to save. Just having not the best qualifying effort on my part, but thankfully we had a super fast Franklin Road number 70 race car prepped by Nick and all the team. So just want to say thanks to them for giving me another fast race car and bringing home another podium finish.
Nice. Brent Cruz, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say I misspoke. Brent Cruz finished first 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen, so a first and a second, very good. Coming to Connor Zilich. I'm going to come behind you, Connor. Unbelievable run here, Worldwide Technology Raceway. This has to feel really good for you and the team.
Yeah, it does feel really good. We've been through some adversity lately and had to overcome some issues on our side. So to get our first win in a few races here is really special to me, and to come at a place that this series hasn't raced at in over 40 years, come back to a place like this and get the win and kind of just dominate the race. We led every lap, and when I was out front there in the early stages, I was just begging every lap, tell me the gap. I wanted to know how much I had to save tires there in the beginning stages, and just wanted to manage at around a 5-second gap, which I had, and I was able to do that. I had a really good Chevrolet Camaro. Silver Hair Racing has worked really hard to give me a really good car the last few races, and it showed. We've been fast everywhere we've gone, so to come here and capitalize on it and get ourselves our 4th win of the year is really cool. So looking forward to moving on to the last 2 races of the year. Hopefully we can make that 6 and keep up this momentum.
Nice. Connor Zilich, ladies and gentlemen. We go to VIR next, and we know Connor's really fast there. St. Louis, get loud. Come on. Austin Green, Brent Cruz, Connor Zilich. We've got a 22-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 17-year-old showing us how we're going to be racing. And ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, these gentlemen are going to be racing right here at Gateway, here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, here on Saturdays and Sundays. So come on now, one more time. Austin Green, Brent Cruz, Connor Zilich, trying to fit their Pirelli hats. Hold those trophies up high, gentlemen. St. Louis, keep it up. Come on now. I like this noise we're hearing. St. Louis is rock and roll town. Now Mike Dallenbach. Austin Green is the only one that gets champagne in this group. At being 22 years old, the others get some kind of sparkling water type deal. Yeah, that's your hat now. Here we go. Yeah, it's just water. Don't worry about it. Come on, St. Louis, get loud. Oh, Brent Cruz right in it. Look at that. I knew they were fast in race cars. Had no idea they were that fast in their racing shoes. One more time, St. Louis, the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series. Here you go. Brent, throw this hat out there. Give that hat away, somebody. They're still spraying out here. What, you want me to hold your glasses? I'll hold them. Go ahead. This is war. Oh, look at that. He says he's out. All right. Hopefully that's as heated as it gets here on the winners, the Jim Weed winner circle here. So we're going to now go to Super GT SGT. Oh, did you get it in the eyes? I'll be good. Yeah, right? Yeah, I'll be good. All right, he says he'll be good. That burns, really. Now look at the sportsmanship. Here we have Brent Cruz's mom wiping Connor Zilich's eyes. She's probably known Connor since he was 5 years old, so that's cool. How about that for some sportsmanship here in TA2? So Super GT, this was a hard-fought battle throughout, but second place in that beautiful Porsche all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. Let's hear it, Milton Grant, ladies and gentlemen. And in first place in that G-Speed Corvette. Coming out here just to shake things down and then wins first place, Super GT. Let's hear it, Richard Forsyth. Come on, St. Louis. I know you can get louder than that. Come on, St. Louis. Let Missouri hear you. All right, yeah, right there. Here, where do you want us, Chris? A little bit over, a little bit over, a little bit. Okay, we good? Milton Grant, I saw you had to come in, and then you put maybe one or two more laps down and then had to fully come in. What happened out there?
Well, I spent a lot of time cleaning the rubber off my tires, on the full-course caution. And I went into turn one, and the car just wanted to go straight and came around and it killed the motor trying to get back on back there. And then when I went out, my steering wheel was crooked, so I don't know what's wrong, but I decided it wasn't good to be out there. Something moved or let go or something, and it wasn't pointing right. So I figured here with all the wouldn't want to get anybody else's way. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah. Well, I'd like the first, of course, Jesus Christ, my Savior, as always, and also my wife, whose birthday is today, and so that's very appreciative of that. So she's at home, and I'll be there tonight. So she's been a big part of my team and life always, of course, for 53 years. So anyway, so that's a good day for today.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? 53 years marriage. He's going to be with his wife tonight as he just drives down 55 to Memphis. Nice job. Milton Grant, second place Super GT. Forsyth, we hung out yesterday over there at the truck stop, and you were here just to kind of shake things out. I guess green flag dropped, and you're not shaking things out anymore.
No, I had a great team behind me with the G-Speed Corvette that I'd like to thank all those guys for all the hard work that they put together, and this car was just unshakable. It was just so reliable. It would so consistent, just constantly doing the same laps over and over. And we had some scary moments with all the rubber all over the track, and I was trying to stay out of the way of the TA 1 and 2 cars, but I think we held our own pretty well, and we were on Milton's butt through the whole race, and we were definitely having a respectable race. And sorry for his troubles, but not sorry that we went out and won our first race in GT, and it's just amazing that we got here. But I want to thank my sponsors, G-Speed and Sambuca Restaurant, and Sandy, my support crew, and all the guys that worked so hard day after day after day on this car at G-Speed.
Nice. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Milton Grant, Richard Forsyth, hold those trophies up. Great race. And G-Speed, that car coming clean, looking good. How about that? That's tough to do with this mixed class racing. He'll be at VIR in 10 days. Now he's a full-on veteran, though, right? Oh, look at that. Throwing it out to Sandy. One more time, Milton Grant, Richard Forsyth here at Super GT, World Wide Technology Raceway. Hold those up. How about that? First race in Trans Am. He wins it. Not bad, G-Speed. Nice job. Now, these guys are probably old enough for some real champagne. So St. Louis, oh, look at that, a cheers. Oh, yeah, how about that? Little gentlemen, now they don't have to dry clean their suits. Very nice. How's that? Does that taste like victory, Richard? Nice, nice. He said, yeah, it does. Nice job. Congratulations. Milton Grant, Richard Forsyth, Super GT. TA Trans Am. These around 900 horsepower monsters. Right now, this is provisional, but third place. Let's hear it. Tommy Dreesy. Where's Tommy Dreesy? 3GT, Lucas Oil, that blue Ford Mustang. Tommy Dreesy, third place. All right, St. Louis, Illinois. I need you to get loud because from Chicago, home of Da Bulls, second place. Let's hear it. AJ Hendrickson in that Dodge Challenger. Nice job, AJ. And then in first place, doing really well here for his points championship, coming up to Jim Weed winner's circle. Let's hear it. Chris Dyson. Tommy, you got your phone on you? All right, here, I'll hold the trophy. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tradition in Trans Am, the Dreesy selfie. So look at this. He just, no, we're going to do it. We got some hugs out here. It's all love at TA. AJ, you got to get in here, man. It's all love. Come on, there we go. There's the Tommy Dreesy selfie. You got to follow him on social media. He's going to display that. So, Tommy, here you go. You good? Crazy race out there. How was it for you?
It was just nuts. I don't even think the series understood what was going on. Our team had a plan. First of all, I got to say, AJ, you did such a great job this whole weekend. You came out here after just, I don't know what you do on the weekends, but you just come over here and you're right there. So kudos to you and your team. I'm sorry that I got into you. Oh, on the marks. I'm sorry I got into you. You were the class of the field with Dyson. So anyway, I went off. I didn't go a lap down. We were waiting for a yellow. It came. I had hot tires. And, I made a mistake. But, I just got to say thank you to everybody at World Wide Technologies. The facility was great. All the fans here and all the teams here and Dyson. You guys are on the Dyson crew's on a momentum that's going to take a sledgehammer to break it. The 3GT guys and girls here and at the office, at the shop, thank you very much. Lacey, Jagger, and Elin, I love you. I'm coming home tonight.
Nice. Tommy Dreesy, ladies and gentlemen, the Rockin' Moroccan.
Lucas, I'm not here without you.
Lucas Oil, right? Look at that right there. See, get a shot of that. There we go. AJ, crazy race. Man, that first half of the race, you were right on the bumper. I saw you looking inside Big Machine Vodka Spike coolers a couple times on Dyson. I've never seen performance like this out of AJ Hendrickson. Nice job.
Well, thank you very much. I did my homework on this track. I studied it a lot, did some iRacing, and I don't get to do this a whole lot, so I made sure I was going to be as competitive as possible, and a lot of fun running with two champions here, and love the series. It was a great day overall.
I'm sure anybody you want to thank, your crew, the owner of ECC.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, my mother and father, for sure. Definitely, Arnie and Barbara Hendrickson, Engineered Components Company, Anchor Bolt and Screw, my wife, Jen Hendrickson, and for sure my help, Steve and Tanner Ray.
Now, I got to say something. Where's Stevie Ray? We could go to your pit box right now, and I think Stevie Ray wore a line in the asphalt the whole race. He's doing this. I don't think he ever stopped doing that. So we're going to have to go back there. You might have to sign that, Stevie Ray. Nice job. Dyson, man, great finish today, great performance. I know that it's been like shuffling cars around for you the last couple times, but I feel like you found it today.
Sweet St. Louis, man. I got to tell you, I grew up a Cardinals fan, and it's amazing to come back here. You see all the folks here with St. Louis Cardinals hats on. That brings back a lot of great memories. But I'll tell you what, we've had a season to remember this year. We've had amazing race results, and we've scored a lot of points, and we've scored a lot of wins, but it's been a lot of work along the way, and I want to take my hat off to everybody here on the CD Racing team, and especially Mike Lancy, who has worked tirelessly to make sure that we had not one but two great race cars all the time, and it's been a hustle between switching cars, jumping around, and these guys have stepped up to every challenge we've given them, and I think that we've scored some points. I'm excited about what's coming at VIR, and I'm hoping we can take it down to the wire there. I got to dedicate this win to my son Nicholas. he and I did a lot of work on the simulator the last couple weeks, and I'm not going to say which one of us was faster, but he knows. And he taught me a lot out here. But racing today was just thrilling. I mean, we were expecting this race to be really, really hard and physical, but I knew following AJ yesterday that he was good and he's on his marks out here. I didn't realize it was his home track, but he was driving like a real champ out there. And the problem is I was good in clean air with the Jimweed car. We could run great once we had the clear track ahead of us, but you get that for about 30 seconds around here. And every time I looked, he was all over me. So he drove great. I commend you for that, and his team, super job. And obviously Tommy's out there, memorable every occasion. He and I had a lot of fun this weekend. We're looking forward to being back with the whole TA crew at VIR and closing out this title in style.
Nice. Hey, in St. Louis, listen to this. Chris Dyson grew up in Mets country in New York, but grew up a Cardinals fan. How about that? You said go Mets. Oh, no, you guys are about to arm wrestle for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Dreese, AJ Henderson, Chris Dyson, TA here, World Wide Technology Raceway. But Chris did pull me aside yesterday and said, I grew up in Poughkeepsie, New York as a Cardinals fan, and he used to get booed when he'd go watch the Mets in a Cardinals hat. What's that? Yeah, worse than booed, he said, but, that's back in the Keith Hernandez days of the Mets. All right, St. Louis, get super loud here one more time. Let them hear you over there in Missouri. Uh-oh. Tommy Dreese, AJ Hendrickson, Chris Dyson, TA. We got the right hats? We sure we're good? All right, come on, St. Louis, get loud. Get in the middle. Wait, get in the middle. Chris is yelling right here at Dyson. There we go. Come on, we got to make these pictures look good. The Trans Am staff spent a long time brushing this backdrop off today. We got to make these pictures look good. All right, nice job. Uh-oh. I think all three of these gentlemen are old enough for some real champagne. This could get ugly, people. Are we clear? Okay. All right, St. Louis, get loud. Here comes the champagne. They're being gentlemen about it. But right now, Jonathan, I'm going to send it back up to you for the roundup.
Well, thanks, Ben. Ben Sissel, of course, doing a great job at the Jimweed Winners Circle. But that concludes our action from St. Louis and from Madison, Illinois, and the Gateway to the West. It took us 38 years to get back here, but it was a good return and definitely well worth it. My thanks to Scott Goodyear and the entire TV crew. VIR and COTA to remain after our visit to World Wide Technology Raceway. 2 rounds to go. And a championship that was born in 1966, you have to say, is alive and kicking when our top 3 are 15, 17, and 22. From me, Jonathan Green, until VIR, bye-bye for now.
Desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim: to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
for low to medium volume production parts and full assemblies utilizing the latest manufacturing technology and automation, which 3D continually invest in. We are able to deliver high quality parts rather than empty promises. 3D takes on the jobs our competitors simply can't. The Three-Dimensional Services Group loves the challenge. Our team is your team. The Three-Dimensional Services Group, prototype, production, proven.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.